Shalom Israel. Hope everybody's doing well today. Shabbat Shalom. We're back at it. Shout out to Kawakam, this congregation in Guatemala, and the brothers and sisters that they teach all around from Cali all the way to Georgia. Shout out Amiyataza and in the UK. Hope you're doing well today too, brother. Also shout out Kazakia in SOW Virginia, Guatemala, SOW Houston, and Zion, SOW Rochester, New York. And shout out to all the Israelites who are teaching and who are committing and being responsible for the work and responsible for the body of Christ. We salute and respect all brothers who make that commitment. We're going to sit back here and send our prayer to the Most High to get the Most High his honor and respect. So, Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Haha Nothing
Award.
Dayawam. The water. Aman.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, that gives to us the light this day. Thank you. So be it.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Haha
Raya.
The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, that gives to us sweet savor. Thank you. So be it.
Amandim Waponya Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshai.
Shabbat Shalom.
Water.
Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushua, that gives us the Sabbath and peace. Thank you. So be it.
Psalms 121. Anasha.
Anasha.
Anyanyamya.
Anyanyamya.
Aharya. Maya. Yabu'a. Isaiah. Yabu'a. Yahweh. Sha'ashah. Shemaiah. Wa'arantazah. La'at. Yanatan. Lamawat. Gaya. The one. Shashamoya. Gala'at. The one. Wala'at. The son. Shashamamar. Yahshua. Yahweh. Shemaiah. Yahweh. Zanya. Ayo. Ganyamya. Yan. Hashemah. Gala'at. Hakaya. Bayawam. Wala'at. Halabanat. Balayala. Yahweh. Yashimar. Makol. Right. Yashimar. Pacha. Yahweh. Shimar. Hamalakya. Wa'aya. Wa'aita. I will love. Aman.
Psalm 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills, from which cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yahsha'Allah shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Amen.
Israelite Credo. Shema Yahshua.
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Shema Yahshua. Yahweh. Shema Yahshua.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord.
Lord's Prayer. Abanaw. Shabbat Shemayim. Hayat. Shabbat. Yahweh. Malak Mavkat. Ma'at. Ratazaka. Hayat. Aisha. Baratazah. Hayat. Shemayim. Abanaw. Makol.
You won.
You won.
What's the lot now?
Salamat.
What now?
Kawat tinaw.
What's the lot now?
Kasalat tinaw.
What now?
Kawat tinaw.
Wala
Wala.
no, you don't know.
Wala.
What is that one?
Wala sa one.
Above.
Above.
I'm shining.
Shining.
Bayan.
Bayan.
Right.
Right.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Lakam.
Lakam.
Amalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Wahala.
Wahala.
Kapa'ara.
Lord's Prayer in English. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. The commandments. La'aya haya.
La'aya haya.
Lakab.
Lakab.
Allah haya.
Allah haya.
Afaya.
Afaya.
Haya.
Haya.
Hunya.
Haya.
Thou shalt have no other powers before me.
Number 2. La'a.
La'a.
Ta'ina.
Ta'ina.
Lakab.
Lakab.
Fasol.
Fasol.
Wala'a.
Wala.
Aibana.
Iman.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve it.
Number 3. La'a.
La'a.
Talak wakab.
Talak wakab.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Mashawa.
Bashawa.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
Number 4. Zakar.
Zakar.
Hayawan.
Hayawan.
Hashabat.
Hashabat.
Lakwadashwa.
Lakwadashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
5. Kabad.
Kabad.
Abaka.
Abaka.
Amaka.
Amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
6. La'a.
La'a.
Karataza.
Karataza.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
Number 7. La'a.
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 Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'a.
La'a.
Bagana.
Tagana.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'a.
La'a.
Ta'ina.
Ta'ina.
Shakur.
Shakur.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'a.
La'a.
Takawan.
Takaman.
Ho.
Ho.
Asherah.
Asherah.
Laraika.
Laraika.
Thou shalt not covet anything which is thy neighbor's.
Commandment. Oh, yours. Right, how about Shimyan Shah?
Rakita Yahaba Sabiam Shah.
Ahawa. Natawara.
Listen to Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shah that gives us the law.
Israel, you Shabim? All right. Okay, we're gonna pick back up where we left off. We're in the middle of High Priest Simon's reign. Okay? And we went into, for the last 2 weeks, about the changes that came under his administration. Simon's reign meant or means, what do you call it, a word? This is the beginning of Pax, the Pax Hasmonean dynasty. Pax means like the peak. This is as good as it gets for Israel from here moving forward. During Simon's time, the borders continue to get increased. We gain sovereignty in our own fortress city, Jerusalem. We take down Acre. We shave down the mountain that Acre was on, the citadel. We're going to read today about the Roman connections that are maintained, the Lacedaemonian relationships that are maintained, and how these relationships end up protecting us for a period of time. Let's not get it twisted. The Pax Hasmonean dynasty was not about just, and we were just such wise and powerful and potent people that the rest of the world had to back away from us. No. If Rome wanted to take us down, they could have taken us down. If the Greeks used all of their resources to come and break us, they would do that also. The Pax Hasmonean dynasty is based upon Israel that had good leadership, responsible leadership that inspired the rest of the nation to do well also. And because change and the blessings start from good leadership and it works its way down, this is why we had peace and harmony. We were beginning to have peace and harmony. Starting with Mattathias and his son Judas, and getting on the way through Simon's time. Even though Mattathias died of old age, Judas dies in war, and Jonathan dies in betrayal, it's still in the same, period of time. Simon witnessed all of this. Simon witnessed the death of, he was in the battle with Judas. He was sitting back here fighting and negotiating for Jonathan's life. Simon's been here the entire time. We're going to relate it in Simon dies at 50. Simon sat back here for one lifetime. He fought numerous battles and numerous wars, and he experienced a lot. He experienced Israel before the Greeks came in. He experienced our decline. He experienced us being hit rock bottom. He experienced his father having the courage to stand up for what's right and to deal with the consequence thereof. And he experienced all his brothers fighting for the cause. He had 5 brothers. He was the only brother left. He experienced all these ups and downs. And the Most High chose Simon to be the son and the progeny that continues our leadership in the region. Our military prowess, the honor that we carried ourselves and we lived the right way is what gave us the opportunity to lead in the region. We were still vassals. This Hasmonean dynasty wasn't like Pax Rome, meaning Rome at their peak. Rome had the whole world on lock, or was about to have the entire world on lock, like the Greeks did. So it's not like we had that kind of power, because we had lost and forfeited that many years before. So once again, we're here. We're about to we're going to finish off the story about Simon's reign in power. Simon reigned for 8 years. Okay. So listen, he went through a whole lot in his 50 years of living. I'm just going to keep it real. We're going to go into everything he went through again. We're going to recap his reign and then focus today on the relationship he kept building during his reign in power. So let's go to Josephus, book 13, chapter 6, paragraph 7. Josephus, book 13, chapter 6, paragraph 7. You should look in? Yeah. He got to come on first.
Karaya, Shah Shabbatah, Barnashah, Barnashala.
Right. Shah Shabbatah, Barnashah, Barnashah. Much. Bro. Yahweh Hashem Hashem Rekatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yashar Rekatham.
All right. So let's read this, sir. It's First Maccabees. I'm sorry. I'm looking at First Maccabees, but that's not where we're going. We're in Josephus first. Josephus, book 13, chapter 6, paragraph 7. My apologies.
Antiquity of the Jews, book 13, chapter 6, paragraph 7, page 349. And it reads, But Simon, who was made high priest by the multitude, on the very first year of his high priesthood, set his people free from their slavery under the Macedonians, and permitted them to pay tribute to them no longer.
So Simon made the decision to no longer pay trifle who was the head, who was the guy that was about to get into power. We're going to read probably next week how Trypho ends up killing Alexander the Sixth. Okay? Oh, sorry, not Alexander. Antiochus the Sixth. He ends up killing the child king and takes and usurps the position. So Simon is like, no more. We're not going to pay this guy. We're not going to pay tribute to the Greeks. But let's keep things in perspective. We decided to not pay the Greeks, but we ended up paying the Romans down. It wasn't like we sat back and we was give up feed for long periods of time. No, we switched from one vassal to another, at least a vassal that would treat us with respect and not flip-flop and turn on us so many times. That's what the Greeks ended up doing, and it was a sign of the weakness and the moral decay of the Greek Empire. All of these switching of leaders, switching of authority figures just shows the weakness and the decay of a nation and a kingdom. When you every few years you're switching leaders and switching directions. That's how you know things are breaking down. Because when there's good leadership, there's a steady, consistent pattern going on for a period of time. It's not this changing and influx of highs and lows and all this craziness going on. So this is how we know that the Greek Empire is tearing up and destroying itself from within. It's different guys coming in, and everybody's vying for power, and it's paying for armies, and it's just a bunch of a group of men paying for this leader and paying for that leadership, because that's what Rome did at the end of their reign. Pretty much the crown was up for sale. The crown was up for sale, and the Praetorian Guard during the time of Rome, they were the ones who set the tone for the leadership. And it's the same thing happening with the Greeks. The Greek soldiers or the soldiers in the military was the one running the entire kingdom. Whoever could pay the soldiers had to run the kingdom. Trypho had no royal blood in it. How was he able to sit back here and get the kingdom? He paid for it.
He's a financier, right?
He was the money. He was the money. So he said, I don't even need this guy, Alexander. I can take it over. I keep saying Alexander, Antiochus. I don't need Antiochus. I can take it over myself. So just historically, when the kingdom is just based on the financing and the military, that's weakness there. So what Simon decided to do is, I'm not going to sit back here and keep playing these musical chairs and paying this leader. And then he promises me a deal. Then he changes. Then having allegiance to this guy. Because don't forget, it jumped from Demetrius to Antiochus the Sixth. Then it was Demetrius the Second. And it's a constant bouncing of who we're going to do deals with and have allegiances with. And Simon was like, no more of this. We got to go to a more stable country and have allegiances with more stable individuals. So this is what Simon did. We're not going to sit back here and tax our people with countries who aren't going to establish some type of protection for our well-being. Okay? So let's continue.
God says, and permitted them to pay tribute to them no longer, which liberty and freedom from tribute they obtained.
The reason it took us 3 weeks to get to this point is we kept explaining what freedom really looks like.
Yeah.
Because in our mind, freedom is, I can do whatever the hell I want with no consequence. That's not freedom. Freedom is, I can work and bust my tail and I get back what I put in.
Mm.
Slavery is, I can work as hard as I want and I can't control what comes back to me. I'm going to constantly be in a state of debt, regardless of how I work. That's hell. Freedom is, I have the capacity to work and dedicate, and I can see a change in my condition. Yes, Croy.
I was going to also say, you mentioned last weekend about freedom was handling our business, laboring, doing what we have to do, and coming back home and focusing back to the Heavenly Father. We don't look at that as freedom.
Hell no.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. We sit back here and look at freedom as, I can do what I want. I can have leisures and pleasures on tap. That's not the kingdom. How many times I've heard from brothers, when we get to the kingdom, we have 1,000 women, and we get to the kingdom, we're going to just be destroying Edomites. Like, are you serious? That's really what God's intention is for us to do at the end? It is taking to be the same people we were before Christ came back.
I'm asleep for 100 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard that one too.
Yeah.
I'm having my own plan to do what? For debauchery. What is this? Does that make sense? It doesn't. So we're not going to sit back here and get into the kingdom and do the Lord's will and still serve. What did we not? Weren't we supposed to be the light on a city on a hill? So we're going to be the living embodiment of a city on a hill. That means work and dedication and teaching and leading from the front. The same thing that we didn't want to do. We've never wanted to do. So anyway, back to the point. Simon is starting to set the foundation for what freedom looks like. It's freedom from war, freedom from losing all of your investment, freedom to serve the Most High with gladness and joyfulness of heart. That's what freedom is. That's what it's always been. Despite what has been implied by our people. It's not this fantasy about everything you want. Like a damn Lil Wayne song. He said back in minutes, like, I wish I could just get with every woman in the world. Like, what kind of dumb, stupid, Jake fantasy is that? But that's our part of mine. When I get to the kingdom, when I get power, I can do whatever I want. Not the case. So, with that being the case, let's continue.
And permitting them to pay tribute to them no longer, which liberty and freedom from tribute they obtained after 170 years of the kingdom of the Assyrians, which was after Seleucus.
All its meaning is after Alexander the Great dies and his kingdom is split up into 4 realms. That was the beginning of being under tribute by the Greek Empire. Okay? So this was the first time we got weaned off of the Greek subjection and got introduced into Roman vassalship. That's what it is. And the more we got wicked and disrespectful and unappreciative of having an opportunity to serve the Most High with peace, the Most High starts tightening the reins of the Roman leadership. As our wickedness increases, our freedoms decrease. That is literally how the Most High dealt with us from the beginning of time. So let's continue.
It says, who was called Nicator, got the dominion over Syria.
Syria is just the region of Syria. Whole Syria is a region that we are included in. Wait on.
Now, the affection of the multitude towards Simon was so great that in their contracts one with another and in their public records they wrote, in the first year of Simon the benefactor and ethnarch of the Jews,
the cultural leader of the nation. Read on.
For under him they were very happy and overcame the enemies that were round about them.
So the people were happy because they had peace. Their enemies, finally, after so many years, backed off. Now, we know why their enemies backed off. The enemies backed off, as we're going to read later on in these next weeks coming ahead. There was so much civil war amongst the Edomites. They didn't have any time to focus on these Jews who weren't paying their debts. Because remember before, if a nation didn't pay their debts, they're zeroing in right in on it. But Trypho is fighting for his life and fighting for his position. Demetrius II is in some Persian jail right now. So all the kingdom is in tatters and in shambles. So what's the point? The point is that Esau is preoccupied, and we know the Most High is in control of those things. So Simon has the benefit of Esau being in shambles, but the people are happy. But it also lets us know why we should be happy and how we can identify good leadership versus bad leadership. You can identify good leadership when men, brothers, families can sit back here and do their job for the Lord and get fair responses for their work. Fair, not fair. Nobody's getting rich. And the Jews weren't getting rich. They weren't happy because everybody was getting rich and had everything they wanted. They were able to survive and sustain their family. Versus when it's poor leadership, there's always war, the threat of loss, and they barely have enough to function. And the people aren't connected to coming to the Lord and making the most out of their priority. So these are all the reasons Simon was doing a great job in his position of leadership. It was the Most High's favor, and it was Simon's way of prioritizing the Most High and the stability of the nation. Let's continue.
Line 215. For Simon overthrew the cities, Gaza and Joppa and Jamnia. He also took the citadel.
Now listen, he sat back and took out Gaza, Joppa, and Jamnia. Gaza was a major stronghold that was a Philistine country that he pushed out the leadership or the Philistines out the city and injected John Hyrcanus, his son, and men to take over the city and to make Gaza an Israelite stronghold. That means we had a stronghold to the west of us. Then we had Joppa and Jamnia. I think it was Jamnia was a port city. We talked about how the port city was important because it gave us extra ways to sit back here and make money for the country.
Yeah.
We can ship out our salt. We can sit back here and ship out our oil, our olive oil, and our fruits. All of our exports, now we can sit back here and ship it out across the world. That gave us financial advantages that you need to build up the commerce of your own country. Read on.
It says, he also took the citadel of Jerusalem by siege.
He took out that citadel that was a pro-Greek citadel, where that had literal non-Israelites and sellout Jews in the literal city. That was always this thorn in the side of the people. The citadel was able to sustain itself because it had access to people in the city that was buying and selling and maintaining relationships with these pro-Greek Jews. So Simon was able to finally cut off and separate the people of the city from helping even to back these guys. So before you can even encircle them and starve them out, because that's what he ended up doing. Before he can starve out these renegade Jews, he had to find a way to cut off the renegade Jews that were supplying them from the inside. Because how were they able to sustain for so long unless they had help and financiers inside the city?
Right. They had to have some relationships built with some of the people. And those relationships is how they were able to stay relevant for so long.
So what he had to do is cut off that influence first before he can truly starve out these rebels and these renegades. So he put a lot of work into eliminating the underbelly of negative in the city. And I take my time to explain this because every great king did the same thing. When it means that the great kings, whether it was Josiah or Hezekiah or David, there was no Israelite worshiping in the what? The high places. There were no Israelites sitting back here underground, having these underground idol meetings, and these underground idol worshiping sessions. This is what great kings did. They went above and beyond.
Clean house.
But in order to clean house, what do you have to lose in order to clean house? Your time.
Yeah.
You have to sit back here and give your mind to investigating the negative corruption. Keep going deeper into corruption cases and funding it and creating projects with the intense purpose to break and eradicate this crap going on in your city. It's a lot of man hours and a lot of energy needed to do that. So he's operating in the same capacity as great men who just didn't take their position to embellish their power and their finances, but took their position to truly eradicate as much separatism as possible. Let's continue.
I want to get a scripture on that too. Luke chapter 11. Luke chapter 11, verse 24 and 26.
Luke chapter 11 and verse 24.
Luke 26.
Luke 26. Right?
Yep.
Luke chapter 11 verse 24. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest and finding none.
So whether it's like Christ said, a house divided shall not stand, a city divided against itself shall not stand, or a nation divided against itself shall not stand. So no matter what the scale of eradicating evil is, it could be eradicating evil on a small scale, on an individual scale, an isolated scale, or a large scale. It's something that has to be done in order to remove it. It takes work to remove the uncleanness out of a place. Read on.
He said, I will return unto my house whence I came out.
But evil is never wanting to depart forever. Evil is always trying to make its way back in. So it takes management and it takes discipline to sustain a clean environment or a kept environment. Read on.
It says, and when he cometh, he findeth it swept and garnished.
Now, that swept and garnished, we read that. We know sweeping is one element of cleaning, but sweeping and not mopping doesn't guarantee what? Complete sanitation. Sweeping is only one element of cleaning. Sweeping and garnish also means to rearrange items and put things where they belong. So it's like a quick cleanup. Like if somebody's coming over and you just grab stuff and put stuff in the dirty clothes and you do a quick light sweep. That sweep and garnish is only a light sweep. So anytime you're dealing with evil or you're dealing with a lack of or trying to retain some discipline or remove evil, he says, if evil find it swept and garnished, meaning it's not thoroughly done to the max, it's only done lightly. Read on.
It says, then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
Read.
And they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first.
So you leave the propensity of evil coming back if you don't do a thorough sweep. And that's what I like about Simon. It wasn't that Jonathan didn't want to eradicate Acre or that citadel. It's just that he didn't have the utility to remove it completely. Simon did a thorough sweep as far as removing the men, starving out the men, and destroying the entire hill that the temple sat on, so to not let any negative rise again from that location. And that's a reminder of how we should be when we're trying to make changes also. If we only make light changes, we run the risk of negativity coming back in if we only make light changes. But if we make intense, strict, complete changes where things are swept and eradicated out of our spirits or in our environments, then we eliminate the virus completely, or we eliminate the evil completely. So I want to pull this verse to show how we have to be thorough in eliminating evil. You just can't do any light sweeps concerning anything negative.
And I just want to make sure everything you said was 1,000% right. I just want to make sure, for the record, when you sit back and look at Judas and Jonathan, one of the benefits Simon has, as we read it, he doesn't have the amount of wars Jonathan had. So it was a little easier for Simon to focus wholeheartedly on breaking Acre. Because let's think about in our spirit. when you have 7 things to fix at one time? Is it very easy to really eradicate one major thing? It's almost like when you're breaking any spirit, you have to, prioritize the necessities of what's the most important. Because there was times Judas will have Accra and the Citadel dead to rights. What would happen? They'd send some damn letter out, or they'll send some damn pigeon, and they get it, some little birdie, and get to Greece, and they'll sit back and send soldiers down to Jerusalem. They'll send soldiers down to Bethsura, and then cause a damn war,
Right.
cause a damn battle, and all of a sudden there's a distraction from the siege of the citadel. And now Judas has to go to war with an entire army of the Greeks. So Judas, a lot of times, was pulled in multiple directions and couldn't really zero in on Accra. Same thing with Jonathan. Jonathan was sitting back here tied up, fighting and earning the respect of the Greek crown to gain leverage, to even get an opportunity to take out Accra. So I say that not to poo-poo on Simon's affairs, but to explain with these 3 brothers, you might want to break this one thing that is a problem in your body, but you can't fully focus on breaking this one thing until this other thing is taken away. So even when you're dealing with your personal spirit and the battles that we all face, the first thing you got to do is identify what is the greatest and the most pressing issue first. And as bad as the Citadel of Accra was, creating space and creating distance from our enemies had to be the greatest priority done. Making sure listen, how could Simon have said no more taxes for these guys? We're not paying these guys no more taxes. Because you know what? Their army was strong enough and formidable enough for the region to bow down to. They had to have a strong enough army through Jonathan's leadership to get them there. But hell, before Jonathan, Judas had to sit back here and to even begin to give the Jews respect in the region. They had to fight tooth and nail for respect. Jonathan organized them, had the opportunity to organize their military and their policies and their government. And then Simon is able to sit back here. Now that there's a respect of an army, now I can sit back here, take out some strongholds around me that gives us a little bit of breathing room. Just think about this. If I have a battalion in Gaza, and if I have a battalion in Bethsura, now my flanks are protected. The south in Bethsura is protected. The west in Gaza is protected. Now I can zero in on these 5-letter-word Jews that are poisoning the nation. You see how everything has to work out a certain way before you can zero in on other sicknesses? But you can take that from a national perspective and in your life. If I have 7 things wrong with me, maybe I need to get a work ethic of studying going on first. Once I get a work ethic of studying, then I can start zeroing in on other things. Maybe after I study, then I can start working out. I start working out, now it gives me a fighting spirit. Once I'm in the book and I'm fighting my flesh, now I can fight my flesh in other arenas. And I can start attacking weak thoughts and attacking weak impulses and attacking fears and doubts. But can you even begin to start tackling these major fears and doubts until you get in the book and establish a studying work ethic? More than likely, no. And then once you start studying, now I got to sit back here and I got to push my body. Because for anybody who really knows what fighting a battle means, a great, what's the word of war? A great catalyst to fighting your battle is working out. When you got to break your flesh, it gives you the confidence to break other things. But you see how you have to stair step change? And this is what's happening with Simon. Simon is just the next guy that has to continue in breaking all these obstacles that the nation had. But you can take these stories and take this history and literally inject yourself into. If you write down all the list of your crap in you, and then start prioritizing what has to get broken first. What's the most important thing? What's the biggest issue? And then what's the second biggest issue? And then the third, and work your way down and start knocking them down from the greatest issues, then get to the smallest issue.
Yeah.
That's how you can start gaining leverage over your spirit. And everything you start overcoming, then all of a sudden everything else is more manageable to handle. You can sit back here and finalize breaking Accra now that the Greeks aren't coming down here every 5 minutes checking on their money and checking on their investment. Because I remember reading in the Maccabees, every time Judas had the citadel dead to rights, they would send letters to the Seleucid king asking for assistance, and the new king would come down and assist. Then Judas would fight them off, they'd leave, and the war would be on pause. And as soon as Judas would come back and zero in on Citadel and Accra, people of Accra would call the next Edomite leader to come in and save them. It happened like 3 or 4 times. Do you remember the reading? So Judas never had the opportunity to finalize and do what Simon did. But he fought every day to do it. But Mosai just gave Simon, he allowed the Greek solution line to finally break down to give us the leverage to get our position right. But what does it show about fighting battles in general? People think when you're fighting your battle, whatever you're fighting is supposed to just give in. Your doubt and your lust is supposed to flipping, excuse me. And I'm saying that, I could come off a little vulgar, but like the negative, you're supposed to just bow down. Is that how negative is? You deal with some street guy, he gonna sit back and just let you put your hands on him? No. If you're in a battle, whatever you're fighting is going to fight back. Look at the amount of years it took of fighting a righteous cause before the negative started giving in. It took years of fighting before the Greek forces started collapsing and the Most High started defending our wars. There is a reason that the Jews would see in heaven 2 armies fighting in the sky. Why is that important to understand? Because we have fed sin for years. We have fed weakness for years. There is legions and armies of negative pushing. In the verse that you want to pull, read it again. It says, the unclean spirit is gone out of a man. He walketh in dry places, seeking rest and finding none. And it says, I will return into my house whence I came out. What is it saying? I'm going to fight to get back in the house. I'm not going to sit back here and just be okay with having no place to inhabit. You think your sadness, you think the sadness wants to sit back here and be out here in the 4th dimension with no place to be? Sadness has been in your mind and your life since you was a baby. Your fatalist way of thinking is okay with getting kicked out. Your pride is okay with not having a place to inhabit. This is why the fight is so hard. It's why it's so hard to give in and to break that spirit. Because that flesh, that depression, that sadness, that hatred wants to come back in and inhabit itself. So you have to fight to the death because that spirit is fighting to the death. Accra, you think those pro-Greek guys, they're fighting for their lives, for their way of life. You think they're going to give in and just bow down? No. This is why, when you read in Ezekiel, our foreheads are supposed to be what? Adamant. It's the strongest metal on earth. Because the rest of the world, their mind is like blend. They are convinced in their living, their lifestyle, their way of feeling and thinking and operating. They are convinced. Your old man and your old woman is convinced that how they feel is correct. So if you're looking at this nationally or interpersonally, this is why the fight is so strong. That negative that has inhabited you for years doesn't want to go. That's the answer to the question. Why do my thoughts keep coming back? They don't want to go. That demon don't want to leave you. You think it's just how your brain processes thoughts? It's not about the processing of your mind. It's that demon that has gotten comfortable for 15, 10, 20, 30 years that doesn't want to let go. That's correct.
I was gonna say, we just came off a class on Wednesday. Sean Schwan was bringing up how it was so easy to give up. That's why we got to fight so hard, so that way we don't fall into.
You know why it's so easy to give up? Because the part that wants to, the give up part is the victor is the negative that wants to inhabit your spirit, your body. It's easy to give up because the old man doesn't want to leave.
It's already programmed.
It's already inside of you. And the new man ain't strong enough yet. That's the quitter. The new man hasn't done it long enough to not let go. That is what the battle is. And that struggle and the years of going against your nature is exhibited with the Maccabees.
And when you look at the book of Acts with the 7 sons of Sceva and them trying to duplicate what Paul was doing and pulling off demons, the man got torn to pieces by them demons. And them demons said, Paul I know, Christ I know, but who are thee?
Yep.
Meaning demons don't recognize anybody that's not determined or serious about change. Anybody that's phony about change, the demons they don't fear nor recognize, nor do they be removed by a phony attempt of removal.
Listen, I've gone over a class about Satan a few months ago, and we talked about the first class I went into about Satan. It was about explaining first, every nation has principalities that are set and fight for their nation, right? Remember we read in Daniel how Christ and Michael withstood the prince of Persia, right? And that was in a vision that Daniel had. A vision that Daniel had when he first became advisor for Persia. When Persia just freshly took over the Babylonians. So literally, the fight for control over the region happened many years before the Persians actually fell. What am I trying to explain? Every force, every principality is going to fight for their power and their dominance in their particular region. It happens on a nationalistic level, whether it's the leader of the principality of Babylon, end up succumbing to the principality of Persia. The principality of Persia succumbed to the principality of Greece. The principality of Rome took over the principality of the Greeks, and so forth and so on. And then when the Greeks fell, who took them over? The Germanic tribes took them over.
You mean the Romans?
Who did I say? Greeks. I'm sorry. The Germanic tribes took over the Romans. The Visigoths took over the Romans. And then when the Visigoths took over the Romans, that means the Visigoths and the Germanic tribes took over the European region. At the same time, the Arab world took over their region in Arabia all the way down to parts of Africa and going eastward. And then you end up having different principalities bracket off with the Mongols and the Huns, so forth and so on. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to explain why there's always counterbalanced thought, fighting. What are they fighting for? Who gets the final say in your head? Just like when there's wars in the region, whether it's the principalities of the United States, fight against the principalities of Russia and China and all the other world powers. Those are the top world powers on earth. In the spiritual realm, they're all fighting for supremacy. Who has the final say on earth? You can take it on a global level, and you can take it on an individual spiritual level. What principality in your spirit has the final say? And everything is about warring and fighting until that final say becomes louder and louder and louder. Even right now, dealing with the United States, what are they doing? Why are they, all the classes we've gone over on Mondays about the United States shifting from trying to control Saudi Arabia to now shifting to being like world pirates, controlling the straits of the world. Because if they can control the straits, they don't have to worry about the oil of Saudi Arabia exclusively. They can control what ships come in and out. What is it about? This is the control of who makes the final decision and who has to submit. This is what Simon was able to do. Now they had the freedom of self-determination. We can determine how our city operates, how our nation operates. We can make the final choice. And we don't got to keep battling over opinions and other outside foreign opinions. We can break, but you have to go to war. And you have to sit back here, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. This particular way of looking at things will succeed. And the reason the nation gave so much homage to the Hasmoneans, their family said, you know what? It's going to be the Lord's way. We're going to go to war and keep applying pressure until serving the Most High in His way reestablishes itself on earth in our realm. But the level of dedication and one-sidedness in your approach and fight is what spawned this dynasty. But this is no different than in our life. Who's going to win? The fat kid that wants to be lazy? The chunky belly kid that just wants to sit on his butt and eat chicken and fried chicken and chicken and fries all them day long? Or the person who's going to sit back and say, no, I'm going to choose the right foods. Choose the right way of thinking. What way is going to work? The reason that there's this 50-50 scenario or I'm 60-40 in the spirit is because you ain't won yet. And you haven't sat back and fought enough wars and were victorious enough to choose. You're going to live right. You're going to eat right. You're going to drink water. You're going to squat. Whatever the hell your vice is, you're not going to do it no more. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, I'm choosing this path. And when you do it enough times, that negative spirit will do what? It will stay away longer. And you can control it. But people want to get religious when it comes to fighting your battle. No, you got to fight your battle. And when you show that you are going to hold on and fight your battle and hold your integrity, then the Most High comes through for you. Is that not the story of who? Thank you. That's what made him the Prince of Power. That's what makes you a Prince of Power or a woman of power. When you sit back here and fight until the very end, then the Most High will do what? Defend you. That's literally what the scripture says. He that endures to the end shall be saved. When you show the Most High that I don't care, blown out hip, broken body, I choose righteousness. And it doesn't matter how I feel, I'm going to choose this. Once you make that choice, then the Most High defends you. But how many of us take that stance in life? None of us. That's why we keep getting our tails kicked in. And we call it, I'm just insecure. No, you just choose weakness. I just battling thought. No, you choose weak thoughts. I'm just going through things. No, you're choosing the flesh. It's nothing more than a choice. This is where the Most High is looking at how you choose things, how you process things. Do you choose strength? People think because you feel a certain way, how you feel determines your reality. That's not true. How you feel shows you how weak you is. And I'm going to say it again. How you feel just shows how weak you are. And you have to choose to stop being weak. You have to choose strength. And what ends up happening when you choose strength over weakness in your feelings over a long enough period of time, then the Most High starts backing your decision. But you see how we get churchy and religious when it comes to fighting our battle. We want the Lord to take away the feelings we want to hold on to. We choose the flesh and say, Father, take this spirit away, but I'm choosing it. You see that? We choose the flesh. Father, take this temptation from me. It only works when you're tempted, you choose not to feed the temptation, and you ask the Most High to take the temptation away. That's when it works. Well, you're sitting back here, take Taco Bell away from me, destroy all these stores. Can you destroy the restaurants? Why do you put Taco Bell in front of me?
When I'm in the drive-thru.
Why do you put this spirit in front of me? And you go to the chicken spot. Why do you bring some chicken in front of me? Why does thou bring us canes in my life?
Yeah.
The box combo is my kryptonite.
It's on sale.
Father, take this away from me.
What
kind of crazy talk is this?
Take away the 2-for-1.
Yeah. Oh, man. Popeye's 2 for 1? Father, why dost thou make us the biscuits of this desire for me? Whether it's food choices or just outlet choices. But you see how religious we get? We don't fight the flesh and then ask the Most High to support us in our choice not to fuel the flesh. We tap into the flesh and then we ask him for prayers.
Or fulfill the flesh and then say, forgive me.
Yeah, it's forgive me. Or if I'm halfway acting like I'm fighting, I don't want to do this, Lord. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, Father. Take it away from me. Come on, you just paid for it. You just bought it. You gave your mind to it. Right? Or you meditated on this sin so long, now it's an obsession. Well, Father, why am I sinning like this? Because you choose the thoughts to make the decisions that you did. And now you're asking the Most High to bail you out? That's crazy talk. But that's what we do. And we call ourselves trying to change and fight our battle. We're capping. Can we not see? There has to be a certain level of proactivity in choosing to go against how we feel long enough for the Most High to say, I'm going to take care of it. Or her. She or he has chosen the right way to look at it long enough. Then I will eliminate the intensity of their attack. That's where the Most High comes through for you. You got to fight long enough, and then the Most High says, okay, you know what? This person is fought. Like, what did the angel do? This damn Jacob is fighting me and holding on literally for 6 hours. He ain't going to beat me. Did Jacob whip the angel's butt? No. Jacob chose to be in pain and fight for an indefinite period of time. Did Jacob know that when the sun rose, it was going to be over? I'm gonna die fighting this. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna die fighting this angel. You're gonna bless me. And I'm not giving in until you give in. I don't care if you keep beating me up, it don't matter. Like, that Marvel movie where Captain America, I can do this all day long. And his face is all bloody and beat up and he's jacked up. I'm gonna keep going all that day long. I ain't giving in. And it's commendable and it's respectable. Because you're gonna I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna choose to fight, I'm gonna choose to be uncomfortable until you give in. And this is what happened with the whole Maccabean dynasty. They chose to fight whether they had 2,000 men or 10,000 men. It didn't matter. We're going to keep fighting until we're all gone or the nation has peace. That was a what? Was that, they had a spirit on them, the spirit of Christ on them? Oh, was that a choice? Was it a choice? Or was the Most High with him? It started with a choice. It was a choice to live in the woods for years. It was a choice to go to war and say, I'm going to fight until I die. Is that how we make stances on breaking our spirit? And the answer is no, and you know it. We don't take stances in breaking ourselves like that. I'm going to be humble or there's no other way. I'm going to choose humility because there's no other way than humility. There is no other option. There is no other choice. There's no other choice but submission. There's no other choice but to see the lesson in what I'm going through. There's no other option because that's what the Maccabees made a decision. There's no giving in. There's no sitting back here and bringing this Greek crap in my life. In our life, in the nation, we will die before we choose the Greek way. Do you say that about your battle? No, you don't. And that's why you don't win. That's why you're in this sin loop. Because all we do is go off emotions. I feel bad. I'm rock bottom. Let me try again. I'm tired of trying. I'm rock bottom. I feel bad for me and my brother. Let me try again. It's this stupid cycle of failure. Because you don't make a decision that I don't give a damn how long it takes. This is how it's going to be. I'm going to be uncomfortable every damn day for the rest of my life. Isn't that what it takes to work out? Does working out get any easy? Does getting up at 6 a.m. to get a workout in ever get easy? Or 5? There's a reason. You go to the gym at 5 and there's only like 10 people. Maybe 15 people. Because who wants to do that for the rest of their life?
I met a trainer in the mall. He said, I fired my clients.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? He said, because my time is just as important as their time.
Yep.
He said, if you don't show up at 4 o'clock, if we got a meeting at 4 a.m., and you don't show up at 4 a.m., you get one warning. After that, I drop you.
Yep.
He said, I drop you as a client. Now, he don't wait for somebody to quit the gym and not still show up to the gym. He just said, I quit you as a trainer. Because you're wasting my time now. Because you're not serious about change.
Because you haven't made a decision that I'm going to be uncomfortable for the rest of my life so I can be strong. Isn't that what it takes to lose weight? You have your job. You have your job for the Lord and your job to survive. If you want to live longer, are you going to get up earlier and work out before or after work? That's the only question. The only question is, you going to work out before you get up and go to work or after? There's no other choice you got besides before or after. And then once you do that, are you going to choose to eat bird food for the rest of your life or not? And take herbs and supplements or not? Either you're going to take herbs and supplements and see results with your working out, or you're spinning your wheels and wasting your time. And you're going to get sicker and sicker and sicker and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Or I say I keep lying to myself and postponing it and say I'll get around to it.
Yeah. And so how long are you going to keep lying and living a lie or making a decision that for the rest of my life, I'm going to be uncomfortable and let me accept it? Because that's what it takes to change your body. That's what it takes to change your spirit. That's what it takes to break your vices. Are you going to choose that I choose discipline? I choose to see the lesson in what I'm going through. I choose not to be the victim. Either you're going to make the choice, you're going to keep something. This is what separated the Maccabean family from the rest of the nation. The rest of the nations had conditions to their servitude. These men did. It was all or nothing, because that's what it takes to break it.
And the scripture says that. It says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for you.
That's what I just said. Yeah, but you gotta, what does it mean, strive for the truth until death? Does that mean you have to die before the Most High fights for you? Is that what it means? Because it sounds like that when you first glance at it. Strive for the truth until death, then the Lord will fight for you. He's not saying you're in the ground, not the Lord's fighting for you. That's not what he's saying. He said you've made a decision that you're going to choose this spiritual way of looking at things until you die. Then he's going to come through for you. It is a choice that I'm going to take this path. I'm going to choose this way until the end. And then when you make that decision and you make decisions in that spirit long enough, then he's like, this guy's for real. This sister's for real. Let me change their condition. Does that make sense? Because people sit back here and they will put their little pinky toe in the water of change. And then they put their little pinky, oh, it's so cold. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know about this. This is too much. Hey, this is how cold it is. And you know what? And then he says, this person ain't want to do this to the end. I'm not giving them nothing. They're going to keep spinning their wheels, losing and suffering. Because you ain't made a choice. I don't give a damn. It's going to be cold, hot. I don't care. This is my choice. And I'm going to sit back here and be that person in this arena.
You actually make it worse on yourself when you play that pinky toe in the water. You actually torment yourself.
Just jump in the water.
It's better to just jump in. Because you know what the torture is? You feel the cold up and creeping up every level of your body, from your ankles to your knees to your groin area to your chest to your
Listen, when my back was messed up like a couple years ago, I started swimming. And that's what's happening. Sometimes the pool was a little cold. You're coming from the outside, it's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold. It's then you go inside, like, man. And you already, it's going to be cold. Water will be cold, dog.
You just came from outside.
You already came from the cold. Then you sit back here and you tip, my ankles are cold. My calves are cold.
Yeah.
My kneecaps is cold.
Yeah, you feel
my
everything.
thighs is cold. Oh, man. You even do that. He said, man, I'm just going to put my whole body in and submerge.
Just get it over.
And then you do it. You're like, oh. Then he's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's over there. Then you can actually do your job.
It don't last as long. The torment don't last.
But you got to decide, this is the mindset I'm going to take. I'm going to think this way. I am not going to play the victim. I'm not going to pull the harp about how sucky my life is. The Most High got me here. I chose, and I chose to serve the Most High. This is my condition. This is it. If you want to overcome your negative, choose. This is the way I'm living. This is the way I'm going to look at things. And there's no other way. There's no other options. There's no other path I prefer than this path, than this way of looking at things, than this spiritual decision I've taken. That is how you gain power in Christ, and Christ actually defends you. And this is what we showed as a nation over time. Before the Most High said, okay, they're serious. The nation's serious. These men are serious. I'm going to loosen up all of this chaos that's been holding them back.
Yep.
I'm going to lighten up this Greek pressure. I'm going to merge these Romans from here. I'm going to sit back here, have the Romans look at them favorably. I'm going to give them some sovereignty because of how hard they fought and how long they fought and how resolute they were in their fight. Now I come. So this is not as much about Simon, but more about the collective effort of all the brothers to get to this point. And Simon was just the man that was chosen to finish off what both of his brothers were attempting to do. Because both of his brothers were trying to break Acre, but they hadn't shown. And how do you know unless you do it? They hadn't shown that they were willing to keep fighting these Edomites and these forces long enough until he allows Acre to fall. I hope, and I'm taking my time to explain this way because the things written aforetime are what? We're supposed to take these lessons and think about how you fight your own personal battles. Because we sit back here and all wrestle vices, sadness, outlook issues. We keep fighting battles and we wonder why the battle continues. Because what you have to ask yourself is how resolute are you in choosing the mindset that you're fighting? How resolute are you in choosing the correct way of looking at things? And have you made the decision that it doesn't matter how you feel or how long it's going to take? This is the mindset you're going to take. Once you make that mindset, come to that realization, you will realize the intensity of what you're going through will subside. That is a guarantee because the scripture says. When you keep having these thoughts bouncing and you keep playing with the left-hand side of it, and then you try a little bit thinking about the right-hand side, but you're feeding both sides of the coin, you're not going to get the most out of it. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Think not that he will get anything from the Lord. He's telling you the mindset. Until you make a decision that it doesn't matter how long I'm staying, this is the mindset I'm holding on to, you will continue to play by whatever mental, spiritual sickness you got. Envy, pride, doubt, fear, self-loathing, anger, whatever delusion you got, this is how you break it. And reading the story of the Maccabees gives you a template of what fighting in the spirit looks like. Fighting to the end looks like. Does that make sense? Continuing Josephus, correct.
Josephus, book 13, chapter 6, paragraph 7, line 215. For Simon overthrew the city, Gaza, and Joppa, and Jamin. He also took the citadel of Jerusalem by siege and cast it down to the ground, that it might not be any more a place of refuge to their enemies when they took it, to do them a mischief, as it had been till now. And when he had done this, he thought it their best way and most for their advantage to level the very mountain itself upon which the citadel happened to stand, that so the temple might be higher than it. And indeed, when he had called the multitude to an assembly, he persuaded them to have it so demolished.
So once again, in our actions, in our decision making, we have to show in our lives that the temple is the greatest priority, far and beyond anything else in our life. And are we making that decision when we are battling our vices? The answer is no. Because whatever vice we got still has that mountain and is competing with the temple and the way of thinking of the Most High. This is so symbolic for our life. You can sit back here and take out the building of the citadel, but you still have to sit back and take out the mountain. That is still competition. That you can sit back and replace one version of the citadel with another vice. Yep. You think that's not the case? A person's lust evolve. A person's negative outlook evolve. We have to sit back and make sure there's nothing competing with the mindset that Christ wants us to operate in. So it's a constant war to make sure that Christ's way of looking at things is the only thing that has supremacy to it.
I like what he just read too. On that point, you put read that line 216.
2:16. It says, and indeed, when he had called the multitude to an assembly, he persuaded them to have it so demolished.
He said he persuaded them to have it demolished. So he had to have a speech to tell them why it's important to get this thing torn down. Because some people may say, well, we could use that for something else. We could repurpose the building.
But why do I have to inconvenience myself? The citadel was broken. He had to convince them to take out the mountain.
Well,
Everybody knew the citadel had to go. But he had to convince them why they had to burn 3 years of their life.
that's what I'm saying.
Tearing out a damn mountain.
It's extra work.
Why do it?
Some people say, well, it's easier just to repurpose that building.
Or just leave it flat.
Yeah.
Just leave it flat. Why go through all this work, man? It ain't nothing. Listen, ain't nothing there. What was he saying? In the future, somebody's going to put something there.
Yeah.
Let's eliminate even the thoughts to have something compete with the temple.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is, listen, why do people wear fringes? Why did the Most High say wear fringes? To remember the Most High. Why eliminate the mountain? Because in Jerusalem, if you're in the bottom of the city, you'll still be able to see what? That temple.
That temple.
You'll always remember this temple is right here. Don't forget this temple. Don't forget your job to please the Most High. Because if you see Jerusalem on a map, everything rises in the pinnacle with that temple. So it's important that everybody in that city not forget what's prior. And this is what he's saying. If anything else is built, it's going to block the temple, and it's a reason for people to forget pleasing the Most High.
And that's why it said that a city set on a hill cannot be hid. Because it's not supposed to be hid. That's the purpose of putting the temple the way it was, is so that it could be magnified above all other buildings, other man-made
Edifices,
structures,
yeah.
and edifices. So it's so that the temple could be magnified and nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's why he wanted the city to be put on a hill anyway. Why put a building next to the city on a hill that eclipses the city on the hill?
One.
Then that means that whatever man is doing is more important than what God is doing.
Yep.
And then read on in that, Pariah.
It says, and this by putting them in mind what miseries they had suffered by its garrison and the Jewish deserters.
And not just what the evil that the people that was in the garrisons, that was in the temple was doing, but get Jeremiah 22:5. Because it's the people that's in the garrison that's a problem, because they're making laws that are anti-law and anti-canon. They're making up their own laws that are a pro-Greek persuasion. But the Most High is not the most important. Read that.
22:5.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah chapter 22 verse 5. But if ye would not hear these words, I swear by myself, saith the Most High, that this house shall become a desolation.
So now with this pro-Greek faction being injected as a virus in the nation, what's going to happen to the temple? When we start following the Greek fashion by way of that Greek garrison, instituting Greek laws and ways of life, then what's gonna be taken and destroyed at this point? Read.
Well, let him finish that one. You have to read it. Okay.
It says, for thus saith the Lord unto the king's house of Judah, thou art Gilead unto me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make thee a wilderness, and cities which are not
He
inhabited.
said, I'm gonna break everything down. Read on.
And I will prepare destroyers against thee, everyone with his weapons. And they shall cut down thy choice cedars, and cast them into the fire.
Go ahead.
And many nations shall pass by the city, and they shall say every man to his neighbor, wherefore hath the Most High done thus unto this great city.
Why would the Most High destroy Jerusalem like this? Why would the Most High have the Greeks come in or the Romans come in or and put fire on the walls and destroy the temple? Read on.
Then they shall answer, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Most High, their power, and worship other gods and serve them.
So what was Simon protecting by just rooting out that entire structure plus the foundation of it? He was wiping out the gods, the anything that was parallel to the worship of the Most High or that could precede the worship of the Most High. And if he didn't do it, the temple itself would be destroyed.
Mhm.
So this is why it's so important that we remove all forms of evil from amongst our spirit, from amongst our nation, from amongst our society, because it puts the Most High's temple at risk.
And this is how you even begin to process how you take these history stories and implement it into your life. Because the Most High is showing you on a geopolitical level in the scriptures how much effort and how much determination it takes to change. And the scripture says manfully changing your life. In 2 Maccabees chapter 6, this is what manfully changing your life looks like. Is it about being a man? Or is it about sitting back here and the attributes of a man is the determination to hold fast to the right way of thinking and not give in to any other weak and beggarly elements by any at all. That's what a man is. This is why a lot of us operate like women. Because we don't sit back here and make a determination to fight our battle to the end, regardless of the effect it has on us. That's the masculine spirit we're supposed to tap into if we want the Most High to eventually defend us. He's looking at us and like, how hard do you want to fight for this? How serious are you all to change? People cap all day long. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie. That's what they say in the rap. In our realm, men lie, women lie, but our productivity doesn't lie. Our conduct doesn't lie. The consistency of our conduct doesn't lie. You can come to class all you want. If you don't make the determination to choose the right way of looking at things every day, you won't see results. It's just the truth. Okay, Dawan, we need you to take over.
Dahawan Racha, Shal Shabbatah, Bana Shah, Banya Sha'ala.
Dawan Rakah, Shoshamata, Bonasho, Mayashab, Mudra, Rook, Yahweh Hashem Yashabakata.
Yahweh Bashem Yashar Baktham.
Right, let them get out of the know. Okay, let me get it out, right? Okay, so where are we at, sir? In a Josie.
Line 216. That's Antiquity of the Jews, Book 13, Chapter 6, Paragraph 7, line 216, page 349. And indeed, when he had called the multitude to an assembly, he persuaded them to have it so demolished. And this by putting them in mind what miseries they had suffered by its garrison and the Jewish deserters, and what miseries they might hereafter suffer in case any foreigner should obtain the kingdom, and put a garrison into that citadel. This speech induced the multitude to a compliance, because he exhorted them to do nothing but what was for their own good. So they all set themselves to do the work. And
So
level.
what he's saying is the way of thinking that's for your own good is an all or nothing approach. That's for your own good. But when you sit back here and teach an all or nothing approach, what do you get? Too much. This brother's extreme. This method is extreme. Well, I'm gonna say this. It's only extreme for people who don't want to change. Yeah. For people who want to stay the same and never evolve to grow, then all or nothing approach is extreme. But for people who actually see results and change in their life, the only way to change is an all or nothing. Because if you don't take an all or nothing approach, now I understand slow, incremental steps to fix something. I understand that. But even in a slow, incremental process, the determination of saying, this, I'm going all the way with this, and I'm going to seek this to the end, is still the all or nothing approach you have to have. Because how many of us see growth for a period of time and stop? Make slight changes and stop. The reason you stop is because you don't have the all or nothing approach needed to see the results you're looking for. Just keep that in mind. Continue.
So they all set themselves to the work and leveled the mountain, and in that work spent both day and night without intermission, which cost them 3 whole years before it was removed.
So once again, it's a 3 years of dedication to eliminate the option to sin, to eliminate the option to get weak. And we'll do good. I'm going to say this. This is why you have to have an all or nothing approach. Because how many times have you done good works and you ask yourself, how long is it going to take, man? But most of it come through for this. How long is it going to take to see something that comes out of this work? This sacrifice, I'm doing good, I'm studying, I'm reading. How come it's taking forever? Who faces that? You don't got to raise your hand. The only way to neutralize that spirit is, I don't give a damn how long it takes. I'm going to do good because I was chosen to do good. I'm going to fight this battle because I was called to fight this battle. Think about diets. Why do people gain weight after diets? No. You know why? Because they chose a diet. Because diets have a shelf life. Diets you do for 2 or 3 months. That's why you fail. Because even if you do for 3 months, guess what's going to happen? You're going back to the bad habits in month 4. What's the lesson? I am choosing a lifestyle of eating this way. But people can't, they can't handle that. Forever. We can't handle that. That's why we keep getting sick. Yes, you got to eat salad forever. How about that? Salad forever. Greens forever. No more chicken and fries. There was this
About mac and cheese.
this lady, what's her name? It was this girl. She was a church girl online, man, and she went to like doctor. There was a show about people like trying to change their life, and the doctor said, "Listen, man, you have to do this, this, and this, and you got to cut all this out." And then she made this chicken and fries song. It was so hilarious. Like she was singing about how she loves chicken and fries, and she was not giving up her chicken and fries. And then the Ishmael doctor said, "Man, I don't want you. I can't help you no more. We're done." He said, "You're not changing. You talk about wanting to do this, and you're crying on television about your diet, and about how you want to live for your kids, but then you're having your son buy you chicken and fries. What's that? You're not serious." He says, "I don't want to. You don't come back. Don't come back. Yeah, I'm done with you, man. I don't want your death on my hands. I'm not gonna sit back here and do your surgery. You don't eat right, and I gotta get a malpractice suit because you don't follow what you said you was gonna do. You're done." And if she has a little internet fame singing songs about chicken and fries, what am I? Yeah, chicken and fries, chicken and fries. That was Lena's song. She's probably online. She said, "Big girl, We love chicken and fries. Chicken and fries. I mean, it was a literal
It
song.
was a hit.
It was a hit. She went viral. But I'm like, you choosing what you're choosing is fried foods, seed oils. So don't trip when you have a heart attack. We're going into diet because it's the easiest way to process a battle. She would have had to make the determination that chicken and fries is over. Seed oils is over. Fried foods is over. All I'm going to do is eat clean for the rest of my life. No more alcohol. No more anything. And then you do that and you work out, guess what will happen to her? She'll lose weight. But what do we tell ourselves? I need a crash diet. But you'll go back and you'll lose whatever, you'll gain whatever you lose.
A crash diet is only needed just to get you started.
Yeah.
It's just a momentum builder.
You keep living your life that way.
Right, but it's not supposed to be a permanent stance. And that's what it takes to endure anything and to get the Most High to back you and to support you in your endeavors. If the Most High is requiring a complete effort and consistency to fight for you, then it's a mind frame of resistance that says, I'm going to live this way. I'm going to be disciplined no matter what. And until the Most High show me that it's working. Or I got results. I get results.
But and once again, we're not attacking anybody about weight. What we're talking about is what it takes to change what's inside of you. Outlook. You think your mental vices are any different? You think the lust you play with in your head, the doubt you play with in your head, the pride you have in your head is any different? Until you make the decision that I am going to break this and this will be eliminated in my spirit and I will not feed this thought. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to make a choice. Every time this thought pops up in my head, I am not giving myself to this. Strive for the truth until death. Make a decision that this is going to be me forever. And do it enough time. And then the Most High will say, you know what, this person is for real. I'm going to start blessing them and lightening up the pressure around their life. If we are asking and looking for how to overcome our battles, look no further than the story of Jacob and the angel, or the story of the Maccabees. They fought till the Most High took off the pressure from them. And they continued living that way.
You know, if we look at what Simon is doing with that temple in Accra, which took 3 years to 3 years night and day to
Take out
destroy.
a mountain.
What he's showing is that he's teaching the people, and we can learn from this also, is that just because you knock down the building at the surface, you haven't completely solved the problem.
Yep.
He's showing also that evil is rooted below the surface. Why tear down the mountain? Because the mountain, what it stands for, represents evil.
Mm-hmm.
So evil has to be completely rooted out below the surface. That means that just because we tell ourselves, you know what, the surface is, I tell myself I'm gonna stop doing something. But if I'm gonna go deeper than just the surface, then what am I gonna do to make sure that those ideas never return in my mind? What am I going to do to return to show the Most High? I'm never going to be that person again, or I'm never going to harbor these thoughts or do these actions again. So that's what repentance is. To repent means to change completely. That means I got to make a complete change. That's what repentance is all about. But it says in Ecclesiastes, I want you to get this Ecclesiastes, the Apocrypha. Ecclesiastes chapter 14, verse 1. 13 and 1.
Ecclesiastes chapter 13 and verse 1. He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therewith.
So what does that mean? Tar, pitch is tar.
Mm-hmm.
So if I touch tar, what's going to happen? I'll be defiled, right? He said, "He that touches pitch shall what?
shall be defiled therewith.
Because pitch has that. So that pitch represents a sin. So if I touch sin, I'm going to be defiled. So what do I have to do in my spirit to completely remove evil where I'm never touching it again? I'm never defiled by this sin again, whatever it is, lust, fear, doubt, anger, depression, anxiety, discomfort, whatever it is that we have on us. What am I going to do to make sure that I'm never defiled by this sin again? And that this sin never is able to reduce me as a person or have power or rule over my spirit. We have to go further than just the surface. And I like that's what Simon is doing by employing the people to go beyond the surface. Don't just tear down the building that you see on top of the ground. Tear out the bottom. Get the bottom out. That means how deep do we have to go to remove evil in its totality, to where it's no longer defiling. That's it. You let it go.
Okay. So let's continue and finish off this Josephus real quick.
Come. Josephus, book 13, chapter 6, paragraph 7, line 217. This speech induced the multitude to a compliance, because he exhorted them to do nothing but what was for their own good. So they all set themselves to the work and leveled them out. And in that work spent both day and night without intermission, which cost them 3 whole years before it was removed, and brought to an entire level with the plain of the rest of the city. After which the temple was the highest of the buildings. Now the citadel, as well as the mountain whereon it stood, were demolished. And these actions were thus performed under Simon.
Like I said, it was dynamic, but it was the culmination of Mattathias and all the brothers and the consistent fighting and the relentlessness that they showed forth to the Most High. And the Most High responded to their dedication and their literal fight. I have in separate paperwork, I'll always go into when did Antiochus Epiphanes took over and the temple went. And it was 160 something.
164, I think.
It was, can somebody check online real quick? When did Antiochus Epiphanes invade the temple in Jerusalem? I'm thinking 168, but it could be 164 too.
One
167, 168.
160.
168, 167. So from 167, Simon's reign is at around 142. So let's go 168 minus 142. 168 minus 142. That gives you 26 years of straight war. Listen, 26 years of running and hiding and war and discomfort. Can you imagine that? 26 years of that. And the funny thing is Simon was in his teens, obviously, when he did this, because if he dies at 135 BC, so that means he dies at 50. That means he's born in 185 BC. 185 minus 168. That means he's 17. He's 17 when all this Antiochus Epiphanes business starts. Then he's going to war, literally, his whole life from 17 to 50. His whole life is war. That's 33 years of war and fighting and discomfort before. And I'm gonna say this. I said 33 years, right? Minus, so you get around 25, some 27 years of straight war before there's peace. Now we understand what Simon and his brothers won't do is they have to fight until the Most High opens up the nation and takes the pressure off the nation. But once again, what does it take for us to fight our battles? It takes years of making a choice to say, you know what? I don't care how I feel. I don't care what I'm going through. I am choosing to look at things spiritually. I am choosing to hold on to the lesson, the spiritual lesson the Most High has provided for me. We continue to go back to this point. This is everything. You choose strength. You choose the Most High's mindset. And once the Most High is shown, or you prove to us, we prove to the Most High that this person, without any shadow of a doubt, is choosing this mindset, then the Most High takes off the pressure and lightens our condition up. And that's the truth. Where are we at? Let's continue.
We'd finish chapter
So
6.
there's a question. So our emotions are sin, or the actions that the emotions bring is sin? Well, I'm going to say this. As a man thinketh, so is it. So if I'm thinking on weakness, I will eventually become weak. Right? If you give your mind to feeding weakness, you will eventually be what you give your mind to. So yes, if you want to really overcome your spirit and be strong in Christ, you have to get to the point where you stop playing up and playing defense. Because some of us, when we're acting like we're fighting our battle, we're really in a defensive posture. What I mean is this: if we're waiting to fight our battle and fight actions, and if we're walking through life making sure we don't sin, then are we really being proactive in fighting sin? Or are we playing defense? What I mean is we're playing defense because if you're really going to break sin, you have to get to the point that you catch sin before it snowballs into an uncontrollable situation. Have you not meditated on something so much that you almost have to do it and reset? Have you fed a negative so much that it's almost like you fed it so much you might as well do it?
You justify.
You're justifying, and it almost becomes an obsession. And you got to do it. The way to beat that is you have to attack the thoughts before they gain traction. So yes, says Sarah Strong, I would sit back here and make it a point to attack thoughts and look at thoughts as their sin. Because if you start allowing thoughts, if you start feeding thoughts on any level, all of a sudden now it's a battle. You ever sat back here? I always say in council with Israel in our camp, when a thought pops in your head, you can't control that thought. But what can you control? The next thought. You can control if you add on to that first thought that pops in your head. You can control if you keep adding 2 and 3 and 4 thoughts and building on a thought that you know is wrong. Now you're in trouble. So now that thought has traction, and it has justification, and it's running rampant. Now you're in trouble. Versus, as soon as a negative thought pops off, you attack it and you don't feed it. You give it nothing to eat and live off. You starve the thought. You starve the thought. You never have to worry about an action. You starve the thought, you eliminate any actions possible. So the answer is yes. Attack the thought from rip. And look at your thought as sin. Because it will eventually lead you to sin. It's coming. So you're better off breaking.
And emotions are they come from the passions.
Mm-hmm.
The passions is what compels sin. It's the motivator behind the decisions we make. And the seat of passion is known to be in the gut.
Yep.
It's to be in the belly. It's where the seat of passion dwells, and that's where we get into our feelings or our emotions, and that can rule. That can have rule or control over us if we give in to our passions or emotions or our feelings.
Yep. So we got that so far, right? Did we finish the paragraph off?
We finished paragraph 6.
Okay, now we're going to go back to 1 Maccabees 14 and 16 now.
Second or first?
First. We're already done with, we're done with second Maccabees. We're going to do 1 Maccabees. We're going to get like the end of 14 and then 2 more chapters and we're out of the Apocrypha. We've been in the Apocrypha for a long time. We're going to transition to the next phase very soon and go into a lot of Josephus work. We got to go through X amount of chapters in the Josephus because we have to bridge the gap that takes us to the New Testament. So we got to take some time and go into the Josephus until it connects us to the time of Christ. We're going to try to condense that as much as possible, but we've got to get some Josephus time in so we have the history of how these political groups, like the political and spiritual groups of the Pharisees and Sadducees and the Essenes, and how they came about and how things transitioned into the time of Christ, so we can understand why Christ, the Spirit he came in, and what his job was to do to prepare us for life after. So, 1 Maccabees 14 and verse 16, we were reading about all the things with Acura and the leadership and all that kind of stuff. Well, listen, it says, if you email us, we have an email on isbhpk@yahoo.com. Is on the link in our YouTube. I can't go into that depth of that answer right now. But if you email us, we can sit back here and we can correspond and help give you answers if you still need it, okay? But we have to continue with the topic to get past this chapter today. So, but I will keep in mind what you're saying, and if the content and the scriptures in class opens the door, I'll explain more of it as we continue. So let's get verse 16. Okay, 1 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 16.
1 Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 16. Now when it was heard at Rome, as far as Sparta, that Jonathan was dead, they were very sorry. But as soon as they heard that his brother Simon was made high priest in his stead, and ruled the country, and the cities therein, they wrote unto him in tables of brass.
So the funny thing is, in this chapter in 14 and 16, now we know that the Lacedaemonians are also known as the what? The Spartans. So this one lets you know that the Spartans, because don't forget, whether it was Judas was the one who started it, then Jonathan, now we're here with Simon. We had been constantly in correspondence with the Lacedaemonians and the Romans. Judas sat back here and corresponded with the Lacedaemonians and the Romans. Jonathan corresponded with the Lacedaemonians and the Spartans. Now Simon is corresponding with the Spartans and the Romans. They're the same people. They're the same people. Just it's important to know now, even we can prove it scripturally, that the Lacedaemonians are the Spartans. Now we can go historically, it's the same thing, but once again, the Lacedaemonians and the Spartans were Jews that we kept in correspondence during these wars. And those Spartans look like us, black people. Those Lacedaemonians look like black people. So now, with all that history out of the way, the Spartans and the Romans are keeping up in contact with the Jews. The Spartans have figured out. The Spartans figured out that Jonathan died. They're sending their condolences, and now they're also maintaining relations with the Hebrews. And like I said earlier in class, the Romans are going to sit back here and get closer with us. We're about to sit back here and read about what Simon does to continue to build good faith to these Romans. Okay, so read verse 16 again.
First Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 16. Now when it was heard at Rome, and as far as Sparta, that Jonathan was dead, they were very sorry. But as soon as they heard that his brother Simon was made high priest in his stead, and ruled the country, and the cities therein, they wrote unto him in tables of brass, to renew the friendship and league which they had made with Judas and Jonathan his brethren.
Now there's a scripture that says, when a man's ways please the Lord, even his enemies be at peace with him. Obviously, whatever Simon was doing, reverberation of it got back to the Romans, and it got back also to the Spartans. So the Romans are sitting back here in brass. They're saying in brass because brass is a step above parchment. And when nations were writing letters or writing information in brass, it's almost like it's etched in stone. And when they're writing this in brass, it is a way to express how solid they are in their commitment to maintain their relationship with the Jews. That's why it was written in brass. They're showing with their actions, hey, we are serious about our commitment to being strong with these Jews. So let's put it in brass to show solidarity and respect. Okay, let's continue.
To renew the friendship and league which they had made with Judas and Jonathan his brethren, which writings were read before the congregation at Jerusalem. And this is the copy of the letters that the Lacedaemonians sent.
The letter that the Lacedaemonians / Spartans sent. This is the one that you really, if a person wants to know how we can prove that in that movie 300, that was really black people fighting against the Persians. First Maccabees 14 really gives you the information. It uses Sparta and Lacedaemonians in the same chapter. So the Lacedaemonians are writing also in correspondence to the Jews. Read on.
The rulers of the Lacedaemonians, which the city unto Simon the high priest and the elders and priests and residue of the people of the Jews, our brethren, send greeting. The ambassadors that were sent unto our people certified us of your glory and honor. Wherefore we are glad of their coming, and did register the things that they spake in the council of the people in this manner. Numenius, son of Antiochus, and Antipater, son of Jason, the Jews' ambassadors, came unto us to renew the friendship they had with us.
Mm-hmm.
And it pleased...
Now, listen, Numinus and Antipater, they were Israelites that were sent by Jonathan. When Jonathan reestablished these relationships, they're saying these same men who already were building bonds with the Lacedaemonians and the Romans came back and kept reemerging these relationships. Continue.
Came unto us to renew the friendship they had with us. And it pleased the people to entertain the men honorably, and to put the copy of their ambassage in public record, to the end the people of the Lacedaemonians might have a memorial thereof. Furthermore, we have written a copy thereof unto Simon the high priest.
Let me take that back. This wasn't a second time. This was, what they're doing is, now that Simon is in power, the Lacedaemonians are just making sure that they proactively remind Simon that, hey, we were cool with your brother. This is the copy of the paperwork that he sent us that we are in league with each other. I just want to send you a copy of the copy that we have to see if you're interested in maintaining these relationships that Numinous and Antipater did with us. Now you can see the difference in the caliber of kingdom, because the Romans wrote theirs in brass, and what? And Lacedaemonians that are sitting back here and giving us a paper copy of what was written. That's just showing you the difference in caliber of the nation and power of the nation. But the point still remains that the Lacedaemonians wanted to maintain these ties with the Jews. And they're just recollecting the time that Jonathan had with the Spartans. Okay, so let's continue.
Verse 24. After this, Simon sent Mnemonius to Rome with a great shield of gold of 1,000-pound weight to confirm the league with them.
Listen, Simon wasn't an idiot. Once Simon received that brass letter or that draft message from the Romans saying, "Hey, we want to do business with you," Simon went right after that. I'm gonna give you a gold shield.
Favor for a favor.
I want to double up.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna take the money we saved from tribute and send it to y'all to let y'all know we want to do business with y'all. Think about this. The Romans sent brass. The Jews sat back here and lost some real money. Why? Simon knew we still didn't have the power to be an independent nation, and we weren't vassals. He knew we were still vassals. This is why it's so important to remind Israel, you got to know who you are. You got to know what your limitations are. You have to know that the scope and the scale of what you do has limits. I was just reading a verse. I was glossing through verses. I think it was maybe did you pulled an apocryphal verse in Ecclesiastes 13, right, Shamshawan? You pulled 13:1, right? Ecclesiastes 13:1.
Talk about the pitch, being defiled with pitch.
Yeah, now listen. Read Ecclesiastes 13:2 real quick.
Ecclesiastes chapter 13 and verse 2. Burden not thyself above the power while thou livest.
Above thy power while thou livest. Read on.
And have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself.
Mm-hmm.
For how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together?
What is he saying? A lot of times, we're so disconnected about our capabilities. We're trying to match ourselves with people that are in a higher position than us. But why do we do that? Because we think we are on their same level. Listen, a person that understands themselves can understand, hey, I'm an earthen pot. I'm an earthen pot in the grand scheme of things. Can I sit back and accept that I'm not this top guy that I tell myself I am? And do I have enough self-awareness to stay in my place? If the Romans are sending me a brass tablet that they had from the last interaction they had with Jonathan, they want to do business, I got to give them a gift of more value, not to compete, but to show submission. Because if you listen, this is where Simon understood the same diplomacy Jonathan had. Remember, Jonathan kept giving these Edomites these great gifts, these top-end gifts. If Jonathan thought he was in a position, if Simon thought he was in a position of power, did you think he would have gave him gold? He wouldn't have gave the Romans gold if he felt he was in a higher position than them. He gave them that gold because he knew exactly that he needed the Romans' help. And he was going to need to call on them at the appropriate time. So he gives them this gold shield that is of way greater value than brass. Even when you go to Daniel, you have the height of gold, then you have silver, then you have brass. So what is Simon acknowledging? I got to give you guys the greatest gift because I got to play ball with you. and I have a good idea of where we are in the grand scheme of things. Because the Romans sure the hell know. Listen, what are the Romans trying to do? Why are the Romans, since the time of Judas, why are they keen on doing business with us? Why do the Romans want to do business with us? Because they need what in the region? They need muscle in the region. They plan on taking over. Listen, the Greeks are still, the solution line hasn't broken yet. The Ptolemies have.
They was dissolving.
The Ptolemies are sitting back here and already sending supplies to Rome. Rome is like, we got our eyes in the region. And if you guys are playing ball with us, we have a way in. I don't know if you guys have been hearing, like, everything's been kind of quiet on the Iranian and American front. But do you know that the United States have finally started having dialogue again with what's the name of these people? It's not ISIS.
Al Qaeda.
Nope, it's not Al Qaeda. It is there is a militant group in Syria that the United States and the CIA used to help break down
Hezbollah.
Hezbollah in Lebanon. It is in Syria. There is a group that the United States used to help unseat Bashar al-Assad. Man, I can't think of the name in my head right
Taliban?
now. Huh? It's not the Taliban. And it's not ISIS. It is a it is a group that the Turks in Turkey are having issues with. Who is a group? I got to type this in real quick because it's going to drive me crazy if I can't find it. What group is giving?
It started with a C, like the Cosmos or Cosmo. It's like C. Is it in the northern part of Iran also? Do they dwell in the northern part of Iran as well?
Well, not yet, but they will be. It is Kurdish, the Kurds.
Kurds. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, sis. You said it right when I found it. And it's the Kurds. It's the Kurds with a K. They've been using the Kurds as pawns to destabilize Syria. Now what they're talking about is sending Kurds that have been battle tested for 10, 15 years. And they're going to send Kurds to Iran.
Yeah, to the north part of Iran.
To the north part of Iran. They're sending the Kurds because what they do, they need a way to destabilize the government without sending their troops to the ground. And there was a period of time that ISIS and these groups didn't want to take the bribe because the United States had shown such bad faith in their destabilization of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
They promised the leaders of Venezuela like millions of dollars, and they reneged on it. And once the world saw that they were reneging on it, all the other money pimps didn't want to do it no more. Right? But now, obviously, the United States has sent them money and sent them some type of good faith promises that literally the Kurds are being mobilized to go into Iran to destabilize from the inside. While they do all their topical bombing, the U.S. with their fancy bombs, you need some grunts to get in there. So it's still the United States coming in there. It's just through proxy. This is how they've been fighting wars for many years. And that's how they've kept the United States military from getting their hands dirty. So, point is, they're using these Kurds to get in there and to destabilize the region. Just like the Romans are interested in using the Jews' military prowess and their influence to destabilize the region to eventually break the Greeks. And you can get better clarity in that when you read 1 Maccabees chapter 8, when Judas first starts getting news of the Romans and how they do business. They do business and they run countries through proxies themselves. So what am I trying to say? Romans send bronze. The Jews sent a gold shield because they acknowledge where they're at. They acknowledge their position, and they acknowledge that, we have to sit back here and play our role and be vassals, because the Romans are going to come. We're going to read in a few chapters that the Romans come in. Once they get this gold shield, now the Romans start flexing on the Greeks and saying, hey, these are our guys. Don't touch them. So this is a very important thing that Simon does. Simon sends the gold shield, and it gives the Romans enough. It was of value enough to say, okay, these guys are serious. They want to play ball with us. Now we're going to back off these Greeks from messing with them, because what's going to happen is the Greeks are going to want to make another go at Jerusalem. But the Romans box them out and say, no, y'all can't touch these Jews. These are our guys. And all of a sudden, that is what ensures that nobody F's with the Jews in Jerusalem. It's this scenario right here. It's very important. The diplomatic touch and sensitivity, and the acknowledging that, hey, I'm not talking to an equal. I'm going to show you in my actions that we're not equal. We are earthen pots to these Romans, and I got to show them that respect. Bought us 50 years. And that's the truth. So what bought the nation? What bought the nation? It was actually a little less than 100 years. The Asmonean dynasty lasted from 142 BC to 37 AD when Rome took us over. Matter of fact, it's longer than 100 years. But what bought us time to be independent? Humility. We were in power. The Asmonean dynasty was established from 142 to 37 AD. 142 plus 37. What's that? 142 plus 37. So around 180 years of peace, because Simon, or Judas, Jonathan, and Simon had enough sense to realize we weren't these top dogs, these Jew kings that are above serving. Why do I say that? Because we have so much arrogance and ego, and we act like we're above taking low. When Simon took low, it bought us 180 years of peace. What makes more sense? Being cocky and arrogant and thinking yourself to be more than what you are, or being humble and say, these guys sent me some brass. I got to show them that we want to play ball and serve them, so that we can sit back and sustain ourselves over a period of time. Just something to think about when it comes to your job, when it comes to your life. How many times you're at the job and you tell yourself you shouldn't go through X, Y, Z? I shouldn't have to tolerate what my boss does to me, because my boss makes me go through this more than what my boss makes this person go. How about it doesn't matter if you think it's right or not? How about our job is to serve the Most High, and we have to play by different rules than the rest of the world does? How about we have to serve at a more excellent rate than our co-workers? And if we want to sit back and cry foul, that's you sitting on the position the Lord put you in. How many times we sit back and pull this workers' rights card? Yeah, I see these other people get away with murder, but I don't. Well, who's not letting you get away with murder? Thank you. So why are you blaming it on your boss? Doesn't Proverbs 21:1 say the Most High controls the heart of the king? So if your king, your boss, is riding you and got a problem with you, guess who got a problem with you? The Lord got a problem with you. So we got to stop looking at authority and the authority the Most High puts over us like it's a problem. We go over it all the time. Romans 13. Aren't we supposed to be subject to the higher powers? Yeah. Listen, when you're living right, do the cops mess with you?
Nope.
But all of a sudden, when you living wrong, you getting stopped. You getting violations and traffic stops and all kind of crazy stuff happening. That's the Lord checking you. The Most High has all these powers that be over you, tightening the reins when you want to buck up and not respect the Lord.
Yep. And then when you do call EEOC, because you want to file a claim because things are not fair, the case gets closed. And they say there's no laws broken here.
And then they blackball.
Yeah.
And then you're on the list.
Now you're on the list because now you got investigators coming to the job.
Yep. See, Karens can do it.
Yeah.
Karens get away with it. But now you're a whistleblower.
Yep.
I know a brother who sat back here in this apartment complex. And he sat back here and tried to report the bad violations of what the apartment complex is doing and how what they're doing is illegal. Within a month, they said, we don't want you living in our apartments anymore. That's an example of keeping it real going wrong.
Yep.
All he did is sit back here and write paperwork and say, I want to go over your head and submit paperwork to the apartment complex association, whatever the hell he's doing, and let them know and shine a light on the unfair treatment of the people that are living in these homes. I pay rent, I have rights. Right? But what happens when they say, okay, you want to play ball and you got rights and we don't want you in this apartment complex. You got 30 days. How dare they kick me out? No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Who's got you in the trick bag? Who got you in the situation? It's the Lord. You see how we want to act like? We want to act like we're above being taken down a couple notches. When we're not. We're not above being taken down a couple notches. Who do we think we are?
Yeah.
I'm just using an example to remind us we're not above anything. We're not above losing something. We're not above having to wait till things turn back in our favor.
I called EEOC one time. No. I called them. Opened the case up. And
They opened the books, looked at it up.
They looked at it. They said, we'll investigate. They did an investigation. They said, you were the victim of nepotism. Nepotism is not illegal. So what if somebody bring their kid in and who's not qualified for the job and give them the job over you, even though you've been qualified? You're more than qualified for the position. They said nepotism, you're the victim of nepotism, but nepotism is not illegal in the state of Texas. So therefore, you have no case.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Scram. Scram. Beat it.
Beat it. That's how I know.
How about the Most High? How about you wait on the Lord and stop trying to file paperwork? How about you take it spiritual and not take it carnal?
Yeah.
And I'm only bringing it out, not to knock the person who did it, but that's the lesson for him. But it's a lesson for all of us. I took that and said that's a great lesson in general for people. You want to sit back and play Esau's game? This ain't your world. Didn't you say you want to come out the world? Didn't we all say that? Then why are we playing the white man games then?
Yep.
If we're supposed to live spiritually, then you're supposed to live spiritually and take the process. Then the most say promotion comes from who? So you're going to sit back here and sue because you didn't get promoted? Who didn't promote you? Was it nepotism's fault or your fault? Or the Lord's fault? The Lord chose you not to get put up. It's that simple. So how do we choose to live our life is the real question. Are we going to sit back here and be stressed out and think I deserve to be something I'm not? Why can't you realize that you're an earthen pitcher and somebody else has to promote you? Didn't Christ say that? Christ said, don't sit back here and go to the high seat. Sit in the far back and let somebody else bring you up. Isn't that a lesson you can take in all things in life? It should be. If you want to stay in a spiritual spot, Simon understood his position. He understood he was an earthen pitcher in regards to what? In regards to these Romans. I'm not on their level. I don't have the power and skill. Even Simon knows I got the Most High on my side. He still knew he had the Most High on his side, and he still knew he was a what? Earthen pitcher. When we sit back here, when you believe the Most High is on your side, can you still remain humble? Just because he's on your side, don't mean he's crazy. And you can sit back here and leap tall buildings with a single bow. I don't mean that. Can you stay in your place knowing the Lord is with you and waiting on him to promote you? Anyway, where are we at in First Maccabees? I think it is
Verse
first.
24.
Let's do that.
First Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 24. After this, Simon sent Numenius to Rome with a great shield of gold of 1,000-pound weight to confirm the league with them.
Listen, the smartest thing he could have did was give him this 1,000 pounds of gold. That's real. You know what I mean? Listen, how did he earn this 1,000 pounds of gold? Huh? Being smart, open up those shipping ports, making some bread, getting some money, and getting able to stack it and give it to the right person with the right situation. Read on.
Whereof, when the people heard, they said, what thanks shall we give to Simon and his son?
Listen, whatever he said, man, listen, what can we do for these guys, man? They gave, listen, 1,000 pounds? How heavy that is? One dolly ain't gonna work for that. 1,000 pounds of gold?
Who knows what that is today? Gold is like $4,000 a gram, something like that,
crazy.
or per ounce. It's a crazy number right now.
Listen, the value was still out of this world. But listen, he had it to give because the business he was doing was work, and the Most High was with him, and he spent the money in the right place. That opened the door to buy his people 180 years of peace. Obviously, we know the conduct is what did it initially. But that move opened the door for 180 years of stability. Read on.
Verse 26. For he and his brethren and the house of his father have established Israel, and chased away in fight their enemies from them, and confirmed their liberty. So they wrote in the tables of brass, which they sent upon pillars in Mount Sion. And this is the copy of the writing. The 18th day of the month.
So the question is this: did they give him gold back? Did the Romans give him gold back? Romans gave him brass. We'll give you another brass letter.
Lesser
Yeah,
something.
because you are lesser. We were lesser. We're the lesser kingdom. We're not giving you no gold. You gave us gold. Read on. But it brought us goodwill. Read on.
And this is the copy of the writing. The 18th day of the month Elul, in the 3rd year of Simon the high priest, at Saramel, in the great congregation of the priests and people and rulers of the nation and elders of the country, were these things notified unto us. For as much as oft times there have been wars in the country, wherein for the maintenance of their sanctuary and the law, Simon the son of Matthias, of the posterity of Jarib, together with his brethren, put themselves in jeopardy, and resisting the enemies of their nations, did their nation great honor.
Mm-hmm.
For after that, Jonathan, having gathered his nation together and been their high priest, was added to his people. Their enemies purposed to invade their country, that they might destroy it and lay hands on the sanctuary. At which time Simon rose up and fought for his nation, and spent much of his own substance, and armed the valiant men of his nation, and gave them wages, and fortified the cities of Judea, together with Bethsura, that lieth upon the borders of Judea.
Bethsura is the southernmost edge of Judea, which borders Edom. We mentioned this a few weeks ago, how that was a strategic military position also. Military post, as well as Gaza was. But continue.
Where the armor of the enemies had been before, but he set a garrison of Jews there. Moreover, he fortified Joppa, which lieth upon the sea, and Gazara, that bordereth upon Azotus.
Yep. So Joppa is that seaport. Gaza, and that bordered upon Azotus. Azotus is I forgot the little city name that Azotus was. But continue.
where the enemies had dwelt before. But he placed Jews there, and furnished them with all things convenient for the reparation thereof.
He says he placed Jews there and furnished them with all things convenient for the reparation thereof. So what is he saying? He set up Gaza. Gaza was a stronghold city like Bethsur was, and he supplied both of those cities. All we're reading from verse 24 to 34 is a recap of all the good works that Jonathan did to stabilize the nation. That's all this is. But this was written in brass and sent down as a remembrance to the people. Once again, rewriting and re-saying and restating things is important so the next generation can understand the spirit of what it takes to succeed. You don't keep reminding people of things and reminding people of the mindset it takes to achieve. We will have difficulties teaching this behavior down the line. You have to keep being a broken record and saying things over and over and over and over again until it sticks. This is what it takes, and this is what you're reading. It's the repetition needed to actually get a person and people to embrace looking at things spiritually.
You know, these are recipes for overcoming evil influence.
Yeah.
And if people don't have the recipe, they won't be able to recreate it. No different than a cooking recipe. If you want to be able to understand all the elements that it takes to root out evil and have autonomy, to have sovereignty in amongst your nation, or for your nation, or for your people to be independent. We celebrate 4th of July every year.
Yes, we do.
As American independence and
Memorial Day,
all these different Columbus Day, all these different days that these modern holidays have, they signify an effort of certain individuals that it took to break freedom, to gain freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's necessary that we have these things written down so that we can recreate and reinstitute and reinstill the same level of effort to gain our sovereignty. Because peace and sovereignty doesn't come easily. It comes with a fight, and it comes over time. And so we have to prepare ourselves for the battle and put ourselves in a posture where we got to be, if we want change, we got to set ourselves up for the long haul. Give me Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. Galatians chapter 6, verse 9.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. And let us not be weary in well doing.
Do me a favor. Start up a little bit. Start at verse 5.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 5. For every man shall bear his own burden.
What he said, every man shall what?
Bear his own burden.
That means in order to see any kind of change, everybody has to bear their what?
Own burden.
Because it's going to take a collective effort to make change. In order for this kind of peace to be established and this type of control over and dominion over our own people and own culture, it's going to take everybody's effort. Read.
Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things.
Read on.
Be not deceived. The Most High is not mocked.
Go ahead.
For whatsoever a man soweth,
Go ahead.
that shall he also reap.
You reap what you sow. So the work that you put into what you're doing, you're going to get that same element back. So if we want the future generation to know and understand what is it going to take to gain sovereignty, we can't lie to them and deceive them. They have to know that it takes this kind of effort, this gargantuan effort that Mattathias put in, that Judas put in, that Jonathan put in, that Simon put in. This is what it takes to have independence over your nation. Right?
and this is what it takes to have independence over your mind.
Yes.
That sovereignty that we're reading about in real time, it is kind of matched and tied into the sovereignty, the work it takes to have sovereignty or control over your own spirit.
It takes work.
It is a microcosm. This story in First Maccabees shows what it takes to actually gain control over your thoughts.
Yep. And individually and nationalistically. You know?
For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption.
And it's the same thing. And if you sow to the flesh, if you make provision for the flesh,
Habits.
if you provide the flesh the environment that it needs to be weak, then you'll never be strong. If you make your environment weak and suitable and cater to your flesh, you'll never be disciplined. If that's why it's important to make sure that you don't put yourself in a posture where convenience or sin or negativity is available and accessible to you. Read.
But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting.
And what does it take to sow to the Spirit? Read on.
And let us not be weary in well doing.
And what does it take to sow to the Spirit?
And let us not be weary in well doing.
That means you can't get tired of doing the right thing. And this is what it takes in order to sow to the Spirit. And this is what Simon is all about. This is what Jonathan is about. This is what Judas is about. The kind of fight that they put up in order to sow to the Spirit or to reap the spiritual benefits of sovereignty. You can't get tired of doing the right thing. You're going to have to put this an X amount of effort in order to reap an X amount of benefit. You can't reap such and such benefits without such and such efforts. So the Most High is trying to tell us these things got to be written down so you can remind the future generation that, hey, if you want peace, if you want control over your spirit or independence amongst your people, you gotta remind them it's going to take this gargantuan amount of work and effort. Read.
For in due season we shall reap if we faint not.
And it says in due season we'll get the benefits, we'll reap the rewards, we'll reap the peace, we'll reap the independence, we'll reap the sovereignty, the control, if we don't give up. And so that's why it's important to write these things down, because these things are reminders to the next generation why not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Let that go.
Let's go to Proverbs 14 and 34. And 35, but let's just read that. Proverbs 14, verse 34.
Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 34. Righteousness exalteth a nation.
Listen, righteousness is what brought our conduct to the radars of Rome and the world. What does that mean? The thing is this, there's other nations on earth that carried themselves differently. I don't think we are aware that once you choose to serve the Most High, you acknowledge your tribe and your nationality and all that stuff. The different rules that we have to live by. We have to understand that we gain our attention, our prowess, and respect based on righteousness. Everybody else might not live that way. There's people around us that might be cutthroat, that might brown nose, that might do all kind of different methods to get to the top. That's not how we get to the top. We don't get brought up by doing sideways deals. We are honored as a nation. We live righteous. The Romans don't live like we live. The Greeks don't live like we live. Why did we keep being promoted by the Greeks and the Romans over time? Y'all remember? Remember Antiochus the Third? And how Antiochus the Third was yes. He said, man, I want these Jews in all of these particular spots, elevated. I want them in Turkey, Antiochus. I want them in Babylon. I want to send these Jews in different spots because of what? The same reason Ptolemy did it in Egypt. I'm going to move the Jews as second-class citizens and the Egyptians themselves as third-class citizens. Why were these accommodations given us? Because we were more trustworthy. But the trustworthiness was based on our honor to the Most High. They knew we honored the Most High enough to not be corruptible. They knew they could trust us because they knew the Most High and serving the Most High was our base and we weren't breaking from that. And because of that, they're like, you know what? I'm going to make them above the Egyptians. I'm going to put them in all these top spots. What we don't want to accept is our promotion in this life and the life down the line is solely based upon how well we adhere to these scriptures. And we can't play ball the same way everybody else plays ball. We live by a different set of rules in a different set of circumstances. And can you accept that? If you are, and if you do, righteousness and the Lord exalts us as a nation. Not the rest of the world, but us it does. Read on.
It
Verse
says,
30.
but sin is as a reproach to any people.
But when we sin, all of a sudden the rest of the nations can't stand us.
Yep.
Then we're back to being the low-level 5-letter words that we have been stigmatized at to this day. The rest of the world hates us, and they look down on us as a lower caliber people because we have not embraced pleasing the Heavenly Father. We think there's a different way to come up. All of our people either sit back here and try to operate like Greeks in the college path, or we try to operate like damn Italians and be gangsters.
God.
Either we're damn emulating the Italians or we're emulating the Greeks. That's what we're doing, right or wrong.
God.
Everybody want to be a gangbanger, a thug. The first thugs were the Italians.
Indian. The word thug is Indian.
Yeah.
They were the original thieves.
Yeah.
The little kleptomaniacs. Big little sticky figure. They steal everything from them.
You said India?
India, yeah. The word thug comes from India. It's an Indian word.
Listen. Anybody got to poop at the beach, I guess they're going to do some thug stuff. Right?
Yeah, they're thieving.
They're pooping in the beaches. I ain't got no place to poop. Right?
Yeah.
And taking baths in places where people defecate in the water. Right? The Ganges, I think it's the Ganges.
The Ganges River. They burn their loved ones.
Yeah.
They burn them and then they let them float down the Ganges.
Yeah.
Then they bathe in the same water.
Yeah. They do. They bathe. There's trash is in there. The urine. They defecate. Everything's in that water. Anyway, it's horrible. So I guess they are the top thug.
Yeah.
But what's the whole? We emulate ourselves by the nations and we're hated because of it. The only way we ever get elevated is in how distinguished and how much we cleave to the Father. That has always been our advantage. And we have to stick to it and accept that. Okay? But keep going.
Verse 35. The king's favor is towards a wise servant.
An important aspect of being wise is to be in tune with what you are and what your capabilities are, and to not forget that you are an earthen pot, like we read in that Ecclesiastes 13:2. And we're not here to match wits with the people that are elevated above us. Until Christ comes back and we get reinstituted as being the top dogs on earth, until that day comes, we are not on the top, and we need to operate, act accordingly. We have to act accordingly, that we're not these kings like we tell ourselves we are, and operate in our place. And if we can do that, we can continue to please the Lord if we stay in our place and obey the Father. Read on.
But his wrath is against him that causeth shame.
The Most High stings us when we shame him. We shame him when we operate out of pocket in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. When we're not doing what we were called to do. We're chosen to represent the Most High. And when we sit back here and shame the work, shame the nation,
Shame his name.
shame his name, then this thing has to come to us. Listen, we have to operate as Israelite husbands and wives. And if I can't respect my husband, if I can't respect the duties I have for the Most High, why should he bless me? He's not going to bless me if I can't respect my husband. So it's okay for me to disrespect my husband, and the Most High shines his eyes on me and gives me favor. Not the case. He's not going to, because he won't let us get away with that. We can't disrespect the Most High, disrespect our calling, disrespect our responsibilities, and expect the Lord not to bring wrath our direction.
And show us some favor.
Y'all got to understand this sister is about the duty of marriage. Your duty is to sit back here and have a good outlook towards your husband. Do y'all know that? That is your job. Not just cook his chicken how he wants it. Your job in being a good wife and doing your part and being wise and a honorable wife is to sit back here and look at your husband in a proper way. That brings honor your way. But if you don't have the capacity to see the good in your husband, you're bringing shame to your household. That's what people don't realize. You're bringing shame to your household. And the unfortunate thing is, when the wife is out of the spirit, the husband and the family have to suffer. When the husband is out of the spirit, the wife and the children have to suffer. Do you think it's just the husband's on the hook to change? Do we think that? So if the husband messes up, the house has to be stagnant. But the wife being out of order, the house won't be stagnant. Don't the two become what?
One.
So if the two become one, if one's out the spirit, the other's going to suffer too. The whole house suffers. That's the point. It's just like the body of Christ. We can only go as far as the weakest link. And that's what keeps everybody humble. You don't want to push as far as you want. You can only go as far as the youngest person actually figuring it out. So your husband can be doing whatever the heck he's doing. If the wife isn't fighting her battle, then everybody's just running in place, losing time, suffering. With that understanding should create in every single one of us the spirit of urgency to fight what's inside of you so your partner don't got to suffer. That's what people don't understand. If you love your partner, you'll fight your battle. Because once again, what is one of the byproducts of sin? Is that you work for nothing. Didn't we read about freedom 2 weeks ago, a week ago? About how freedom was having the ability to do a job, work, and actually get the benefit out. When you're in hell or you're being cursed for negativity, one of the byproducts of being cursed is that you work and don't get nothing out of your work.
You work in vain.
You're working in vain. You're spinning your wheels. How many of us, without a show of hands, have been in life where you're just sitting back here, you know there's negative in the house, and you're just running in place. And there's no advancement. There's overtime, multiple jobs, extra work, and it's like you're putting money into a bag with holes in it. And it just keeps filtering out. And you're not, where the hell is all this money going? Where's all this exerted energy going? We're just working for nothing. You have that feeling of working for nothing when you're not pleasing the Lord. That could be either the husband or the wife, or both. But it can't act like people are absolved when that feeling is happening in your life. And there's a difference between working and having enough as your daily bread. And there's another one where we're like behind in debt and we're working as hard as we can. What's the damn problem? We can't get out of the red at all. That feeling is what the Most High puts you through when you are shaming him with your conduct. If you're going to shame him with your conduct, do you think you have the right to be comfortable or have your daily bread and be consistent and be stable? Why should you be allowed stability when you're making the Most High look? You're shaming his name. And what you do every day embarrasses the Father. Why? How is that a fair deal? It's just not. So this is how the Most High neutralizes things. So what's happening now with Simon, his conduct is favorable. He's operating with wisdom. He's in the right spirit, and the Most High is promoting him with peace and stability in the nation. Because what we're going to read next week is that in the midst of all the chaos between Trypho and Demetrius II, the Romans make a widespread announcement. Hey, whatever beef y'all got, Demetrius II and Trypho, or red or blue cousin blood, none of that crap matters. It don't touch the Jews. So once again, that's the Most High looking after us. And it's a byproduct of Simon's discipline, humility, and his order. It's all, that's what wisdom looks like. It's not intelligence necessarily. It's humility. It's having a well-organized government. It's having spiritual priorities. It's all of these things wrapped in one. And then the Most High changes the outlook of the leadership that actually has the control over your circumstance. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go back to First Maccabees 14 and 35.
First Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 35. The people therefore, seeing the acts of Simon, and unto what glory he brought to his nation.
Read it again.
So on. First Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 35. The people therefore, seeing the acts of Simon, and unto what glory he thought to bring his nation, made him their governor and chief priest, because he had done all these things, and for their justice and faith which he kept to his nation, and for that he sought by all means to exalt his people.
And this is something for leaders, for husbands, for anybody that is responsible for anybody. The job is to exalt the nation. The goal is to exalt the people that you are responsible for. But the key is understanding what exalting actually looks like. It's making sure that their spiritual benefit gets all of your unadulterated attention. If a husband's job is to make sure his wives are spiritually clear, they understand their spiritual battle, he's supposed to do the same thing for his children. But so does the wife. The job is to make sure that the child, their spirit is strong. Their spirit is exalted. They're confident. They are disciplined. They are well-mannered. Whatever maybe character flaws that pop up, they're working. Whatever habits they need down the line, they are addressed. This is how a nation is exalted. This is how people are exalted. You exalt a person by giving them all the tools they need spiritually to succeed. And this is what Simon did for the nation. He put everybody in a position to succeed. Now, whether they succeeded is up to them. But Simon sat back here and
Created
made
the
sure
environment.
there was no spiritual impediments to keep them away from the temple. There was no
Competing
there was no competing influences that would get in the way of their relationship with the Most High. There was no military threats that would get them in the way of doing their job and sustaining themselves financially. All the business avenues were open in order for them to come up and sustain themselves. There was no reason why a person can't succeed besides their own merit. We went over last week that there was going to be poverty in the nation regardless. So if you messed up, it was on you. It wasn't leadership's fault. That's what a leader is supposed to do. We exalt our children and the people we're responsible for by making sure there's no way or no reason why a person can't grow. And for those of us who have multiple children, that's what a parent's supposed to do. I got to develop them, teach them, work on their self-esteem, work on their confidence, help develop work ethic, tenacity, how to communicate to people, how to be respectful. All these things you have to do. And then you pray that you've given them enough to function in the real world.
and not crush their soul in the process.
And not crush their soul, but hope and pray that you've given them as many tools as they were willing to receive. And you hope and you pray that in arenas that they're stubborn, they will remember the lessons you taught them, even though they didn't listen. Remember those lessons and come back to you to finish their training. Because I don't care how good of a parent you are, there's going to be things and lessons that your child just didn't accept yet. So out of the 10s of 15s of 20s of things you teach them, you pray that they retain as much as possible. Then you pray afterwards that the things they haven't learned or accepted yet, they're humble enough to come back to you to get more, to finish off the training that they ran from. You have a statement on.
But and also to go back to what you guys have been saying, in this camp, you guys have always taught us women, because we like to shuffle to the side. Well, that's y'all's job. Y'all are the dads and y'all, it's your job to run the house. But you've always taught us that here, if we work on ourselves as wives and as moms and get ourselves right, it's hard for any of what you're saying to stick if you're still stuck on the things you haven't overcome in yourself, because then you make it hard for that child to see that growth and development, because you're not doing it in yourself.
I'm going to say this. I have seen, I can't count on my hand how many husbands and wife tandems, whether it's the wife or the husband, who hasn't fought what's inside of them, and their children see it. And whatever their parents don't fight in themselves, it's their child's reason and motivation not to serve the Most High. I can't count on my hands how many faults I see, whether it's men in their temper or the violence they bring or abuse, though the abuse that a man might do, or a woman's disrespect, woman's pride, a woman's mouth, whatever the issues are. And I see children look at the chaos and look at two adults or one adult that doesn't fight, and they say, I don't want to live this life. I don't want to serve the Most High because of what I see my parents do. And if this is what an Israelite family looks like, why do I want to live an Israelite life? I've heard children say those words, and whether they say it or they're nonverbal and don't say it, this is what's in their head. And this is the importance of change and responsibility. Are we eliminating any reason for a person not to want to live this life? Because that's the real question. You have a responsibility to change so that your child will say, man, serving the Most High is really a good thing. Look how happy my father and my mother were. Look at how consistent and stable. Look at how they work together as a unit. I would love my wife to be that way. I would love my husband to be like my father. But most Israelite families are unhappy. Most families in general are unhappy. Because the mother or the father and or both can't accept a selfless role. Simon sat back here. What made Simon so great? All he cared about was the exalting of his people. Parents care about themselves. The husband cares about what he ain't getting out the deal, and the wife cares about the attention she's not getting. But a leader, a person who actually loves their children, can find it in their heart not to make it about themselves so that their children can see happiness. Their children, I don't care what nobody says. I've heard people say that the system is broken, serving the Most High, how we do things is broken. It's a lie. The reason that a system is broken is the same reason marriages don't always work. Because all the parties, that the decision-making people of the party, of the family or the camp, aren't happy serving the Lord. Because the husband isn't happy serving the Lord, the wife ain't happy serving the Lord, the camp head ain't happy serving the Lord. That's what everybody else sees. If the people see stability at the top, there's a greater chance that your children or the people will buy into. Why did everybody love Simon? Because they saw consistency, they saw results, and they saw a person that was happy putting the body first. When you live your life to serve the Most High, it's not a damn death sentence. It's not a prison sentence. You're not sitting down for 15, 20 years. It's a Jake Turnbull. Be in jail. You're just going to sit down. What it is every decision you make, you have to realize people are watching you. Whether you think they are or not, they see your unhappiness. They can feel it oozing off you. So are you going to be selfish and be into how you feel? Or are you going to find a spiritual way to maintain peace of mind and happiness so your children can see happiness? Everybody that we teach as young officers, everybody wants to give orders. Everybody wants to tell a person to do this and tell a person to do this. They want to take a test so they can lead and boss people around. But nobody wants to really lead. Because real leadership is about living the right way, changing, and showing the people around you that you love this life. And as parents, have you shown your children that you love this life? Or have you shown your children that living, serving the Most High is a living nightmare? And you'll know when they get 18, how fast they get the 4-letter word out of that house. You'll know then how you did. So when your children can't wait to get the hell out of this house and live a new life, you know you screwed up. And you know that they are running as fast as they can away from the chaos. I'm not saying that whether a child embraces serving the Most High is all your fault, because everybody has a responsibility to change on their own. But how many impediments have you put into your child's reasoning to make them think that this ain't the right move to make? And that's what everybody got to live with. There's a reason folks head for the hills under the idea of coming to class every day and serving the Most High. There's a reason there. And you can't sit back here and say, oh, man, that Junior's just tripping. Junior want to run them streets. Well, maybe. And Junior don't want to sit back here and see unhappy faces and be unhappy like he saw you do. Junior don't want to sit back here and be unhappy. Maybe he saw y'all unhappy and he's running from living an unhappy life. Can you accept that? This is why it's imperative to be happy in your path of serving the Most High. Because they need to see that. They need to see your peace of mind and your happiness in this life. Because that is a greater teacher than all the jibber jabber we want to say about the scripture. Everybody wants to talk and cap about the Most High. Well, they're looking you right in your eyes and say, are you really happy?
Because they're at home. At home is where the mask and the costume comes off. And whatever you pretended to be in the world, you get home, that costume come off, they see the real you.
Yep. That white bear suit come off and that black suit come off.
You unzip it. You really a black
you
bear.
unzip that white suit out, you're like, woo, I can be myself now.
A black bear and a polar bear suit.
That's what I'm saying. If you seen the meme, it's there. You gotta take that polar bear suit off.
Yeah, you like, damn, man, I had to play the role today. And then, but they see the real guy.
Yeah.
And then,
And gal.
and they see how you have a work voice and then you have an at-home voice. Your work voice is, hello, welcome to
what was that movie that had that black dude that was talking like eating my guy? He was making like all these sales out. What was that? No, it wasn't that one. It was another one before that. Anyway,
I'm not sure. But I say it again.
He was a brother.
Potentially.
He was the guy that played in Atlanta. He was in Atlanta. He sat back in the most professional voice in the world, but he was from the slums out. And they took him up to the elevated building out because he was making all the big money out. Danny Glover was in it. If you get it, it was Danny Glover and the guy from ATL in the movie. It was hilarious.
I don't remember. But he had the white voice though, yeah, because he knows how to play the role, and that's what kids understand and parents understand. They can see you got a white voice, or not even a white voice, but you have a particular ambiance and character that you carry around people that you want them to perceive you in a certain way. But then when you get around your family, they see the sit your ass down. They see the real like, yeah, it's cold blooded. Can you treat me as nice as you treat the people out there? But they understand the real you. They see the part of you that's fatigued, tired, but also the real angry. They see the fact that you're not as patient, you're not as loving, you're not as kind. That's why we read it earlier in Josephus. Read that right there in Josephus. It was in line 215 on page 349.
Line 215. For Simon overthrew the city of Gaza.
Matter of fact, get straight to the point when he says, and when he had done this. It's straight, it's a little bit further down, like 2 sentences down. And when he had done this.
What's that? Yeah, it was.
It's still in line 215. It says, and when he had done this.
What verse?
I'll read it. It says, and when he had done this, he thought it their best way and most for their advantage. So it says to level the very mountain itself. It's just a little further down than that. But he was explaining that Simon, his objective was about the people. It wasn't about him as a leader. You see it now? Okay, so it was his mentality, and get Romans 15 and 1 and 2. But it was his mentality of what I'm gonna do. My mind is, as a leader, I gotta do what's best for them, not just what's best for me. And if we could set that type of tone and that type of precedence in a household where I gotta think about the environment that I'm setting in my house, and as mine is the environment, the attitude, the speech, the peace, is this type of environment, the culture that I have in my house, is this conducive for spiritual development? That's what a leader, or is it aimed around my comfort? Is it aimed around, is the whole house just aimed towards my convenience and my comfort?
How I feel that.
Or is it just, or is the culture about growth and development for their benefit?
You know how you know that? It's a couple phases. If we're dealing with husband, how I deal with my wife, how I deal with my children, am I the same person every day? You know, am I who I am in my public persona, and am I still a brother off camera? Do I love on both ends? And the same thing with sisters. If your child is looking at you and everybody goes to gatherings and smiles, do you sit back here and give off gathering day? Are you still loving? Are you still a sister? Do you still give yourself to the sisterhood and the brotherhood when it's not gathering time? What kind of bonds you have off away from the school with the people in the camp? I know a lot of people that come to class, but their best friends are jail. Then are you really living this life? Are you really living this life at all? If your best friends are from the world and you don't have any friends in the truth, or sisters, they'll come to class every day, but they have no bonds with these sisters they see in class outside of the truth. Then are you really living it? And don't you think the children see it? If the children see you only really deal with the sisters at the school, are you really about this life off away from the school? I don't know. Then are you really about this life? If I can only be respectful to my husband at the school and I act with him different at home, does this person really believe in this life? Are you the same person at home as you are in the truth? The children are seeing this. They're not idiots. You'll start seeing the reality. When your kid hits middle school and early high school, they see game. They see right through your game. You can play the do as you're told, do as I say, not as I do card all you want. They see right through you.
I'll do it because I said so.
Yeah. I said so. Okay, that's cool. But once again, your conduct is helping to make their decision about if they want to give their life up to serve the Lord. Don't forget that. They gotta listen, they see what you do every day. They see how hard you work. They see all the changes a wife goes through. They see all the changes a brother goes through. They see a man's crazy schedule because he's coming home from counseling, or he has all these responsibilities. And they're also saying, how is his demeanor when he gets home? Is he angry? Is he vexed? Is he pissed? Is she pissed? Once she gets off the phone and she gets a phone call from a sister, is she happy to talk to her? Or is she like this? I'm gonna do that. Or are you sitting back here and pissed and vexed when you gotta talk to sister? You don't think the kids see it? Then they're like, well, then maybe my mom is a little fake when it comes to sisters. Maybe she don't love the sisters like she says she does. Because whenever they call, she's unhappy. Then do I want to give my life to something where and be unhappy than with people I don't like? Is this what I want to do? Do we ever look at things that way? We rarely do.
And then what we teach them is to play the game.
Yes.
And that's what we teach them. We're just going to play the game, and you got to play different roles. You got to put on different faces.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put on different demeanors, and you just got to adjust to whoever's in front of you. But you're playing a game. But if I'm not playing a game, then I'm the same person everywhere.
Yep.
I'm the same person everywhere in the same situation.
Well, then they get mad. You get mad when they play the game with you.
Yeah.
When they sit back here and give you the false persona and play the game, you're mad that they're not honest with you. But you've shown them the game with everybody around you. You lie every day, but you're mad that they lie to you. And that's the facts. You put on this mask in front of everybody so that when they learn how to pull a mask, talk about, I don't know my child no more. That ain't my child. What the my child? That ain't my child. I wouldn't do that. My child wouldn't do that. Yeah, they're seeing you. Remember that old 80s commercial when the dad hems up his son for smoking pot?
Yeah.
He says, son, what is this? He just box of reefer and what is this, son? And he says, Dad, I learned from watching you,
Where did I
Dad.
get this from?
Yeah,
He said, I got it from you, Dad.
I got it from watching you, Dad.
Yeah.
And then he got quiet.
Then the commercial ended.
And it was Dare.
Yeah.
It was the Dare campaign. Why am I explaining this? I never forget that commercial. It was a great commercial. I said, I will not do drugs. Look at that. Look at the impact of this man's face and this child. Anyway, what am I trying to say? But the parental issue was what hit me. They're looking at you play games with the Lord all damn day long. They're watching you fake your relationship with the Lord. And you wonder why they don't want to serve the Lord.
And what they see is that your vice is more important than your relationship with them. Because parents quite often put their vices as priority and the development of the culture as secondary.
Yeah.
And we say it because parents will say, well, this is my house, I can do what I want to do. And if you don't like it, you can leave. Or when you get your own house, you can do what you want to do in your own house. And or we say these things to these kids. What we're telling them is that I don't care about your culture. I don't care about your environment. I don't care if I'm grooming you to think a certain way, that my comfort, because I work hard, because I bust my tail, and I come home and I want rest and I want to kick my feet up, and the whole house has to revolve around me. And if you got that mentality at home where the whole house has to revolve around me, the conditions, the quality of the household, the nation will suffer because it's not conducive for their development. And that's what made Simon so special, is the fact that everything Simon was doing, all his decisions, was for what? Read that part again.
And when he had done this, he thought it their best way,
He said he thought it their best way.
Yes.
Go ahead.
and most for their advantage.
So everything Simon was doing was for the people.
So, that means if I'm a wife, I'm supposed to stay in order with my husband because my daughter's watching. And my daughter needs to see that when there's an argument between the husband and wife, my daughter needs to see how to submit to her husband. And all she's going to do is pattern my conduct. If I'm talking back and I'm cynical, what is my daughter going to know? To be disrespectful and cynical to her husband. It's no different than men. If men use violence to deal with their problems, what's the son going to do? Use violence to deal with their problems. But a lot of times society just pushes the violent man, which is definitely wrong. But women don't sit back and see how their attitude and their disrespect oozes on to their daughters, and it makes their sons learn to hate women. Yep. And to distrust women. That's what they don't realize often. When they see their mother just nagging and angry, what do you think they're learning? This is how women are. This is how a relationship is. Then maybe I should just run through them.
And then psychologically, they say a man will naturally go get a woman that's similar to his mother.
Unfortunately.
And then so now you got a man that will go look for a woman to beat him down verbally. or emasculate him or tear him down
Because he's used to that.
because he used to that because he saw his father deal with that, and so he thinks that's what love looks like.
And that father sits back here and just takes it on the chin every damn day long.
Yeah. Sleeping in the girl's bed instead of his own bed.
Then the
Trust
kid
me.
realized this is what it's supposed to be.
That's what marriage look. This is what you just gave them a definition of what marriage is.
Either he gonna just sit back here and be a womanizer, or he gonna fall right into that trap where he's gonna sit back here and get emasculated. That's the truth. Like handicap. I always do about the handicap. Like that dude that sits back here has that old school hat on, and he's getting checked and bullied by his woman. He's always drinking alcohol. Blah, blah. It was those old funny magazines and not magazines, but in the funny papers. It was always this guy. He had a hat that was always at like below his eyes, like right at his eyes. He was just walking, always had his head down, and he would sit back here and open the door, and there was a woman that was like 3 times his size doing this. He would sit back here and would like, and he would turn and he'd be at the bar. I'm serious, like Andy Cat. I'm like, why is this guy's life sucks like this?
You know why that was in the funny papers? Because some people can relate to that.
It was in the Sunday morning funny papers. And then everybody wanted to know what out funny. This guy sat back here and just was drinking. He ran, he was at the pub. And then he had those bubbles come out of his mouth when he's walking.
When he's walking home because he's walking. Yeah.
And he's going home because he got to be drunk to deal with this woman who has a muumuu on and a head thing on her head. She's sitting back here doing this. He's like, I got to go home. I got to get sauced up to deal with this when I get home.
You got to numb himself up.
And imagine what the children have to suffer in seeing it. Why am I saying all? All I'm saying is it is so important. Husbands, wives, we have to be on guard about our conduct at all times, and how we carry ourselves has to be about the Most High, whether it's in season or out of season, at the house, at the school. If I'm about being a sister, and I got to be about being a sister or a brother at home, at the school, if it's about studying, they got to see me in the book at home. If it's about being in order, I can't just be in order in front of adults. I got to be even more in order in front of the children. The children have to see stability. So if you want to extend the chances that they might want to live this life. Anyway, you got any more of that? We won't keep going.
God, just want to finish this point up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
To level the very mountain itself.
So how do you do that? Why was Simon in that position where he was about the people's benefit? What mind frame does he have to be in? You'll get that Romans 15 and 1 and 2.
Romans chapter 15 and verse 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak.
What does that mean, to bear the infirmities of the weak? You know what the infirmities of the weak is? The infirmities of the weak is the impression that you leave on the weak. Yeah, that's the infirmities of the weak is the impression you put on them. So how do you put the best impression on the weak, or those that you want to follow after the best example? You have to put yourself in a position that's best suited for their development. Read on.
And not to please ourselves.
And you know what that means? That means things don't have to, they can't evolve around just you. That means you have to consider, what impression am I leaving on the weak? And this is what Simon is doing. And what he's saying is how he's doing everything for their particular benefit, meaning he's setting up and destroying this temple because he's showing them, I don't want anything to compete with the Most High, and y'all need to learn this. Y'all need to learn the fact that there's nothing that should compete with the Most High or be even equal to the Most High in competition. But he has to set the tone, and setting that tone is about, let me make sure I leave the right impression on the weak. It's not about me, it's about them. And in order to do that, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, 14 verse 3, last one, right?
Do 10 and 24 after that.
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 14 and 3. Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 3. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 3. But he that prophesieth,
Or teacheth, if you're teaching as a leader, you're prophesying, you're teaching. Read on.
speaketh unto men
He said you got to speak unto men. Read.
to edification.
To what?
To edification.
Edification, by definition, is improvement and progress of the mind and in knowledge, in morals, or in faith and holiness. So what impression am I trying to impress upon them in what I'm doing? As everything that I'm teaching is about elevating them in the mind, in morals, and in faith. So that means that it can't necessarily be about me and my comfort. It's about, I have to be made uncomfortable so that they can grow and they can develop, and I leave the best impression on them so they learn how to think. The way you impress on and you teach somebody is through your words and your action.
And your decision, how you move.
Yeah, and that's what they see. They got to see that. Because we could tell kids what to do. We could tell people what to do all day long. But if I'm telling people what to do and I'm doing something opposite, then I'm hypocritical in my teaching. If they see two different things, if they don't see my words aligned with my behavior, then I'm teaching them the wrong lesson. So if I'm gonna edify anybody, it's about my lifestyle should resemble the same thing I'm trying to articulate and teach. And it takes selflessness to do so. Read.
And exhortation.
And exhortation, which is motivation and inspiration. Read.
And comfort.
And comfort. And you comfort them with the scriptures. So there's a method that Simon is using that we can associate with the scriptures that shows, that resembles what a good leader looks like. So not only is he telling people to do this, he's selfless in his impression, and he's making sure that they have an understanding of why he's doing what he's doing, so they can mimic that behavior. And that's what good leaders do. It's all about impression and following the right behavior, tracing the right behavior, following after the best example. And if you can do that in mind at home, then you set your child up for the best success. Same thing with teachers in a camp or a church or a nation, anybody else that's a leader.
On that verse, read it again.
1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 3. But he that prophesieth speaketh unto men to edification.
Now, 1 Corinthians 10 and 24 says we're supposed to look for the wealth of others, right? But the wealth of others is dealing with how well we teach them. And like Shamshawan said, the best way we teach our children is how we make decisions in real time with our partner, how we make decisions in real time with our stress. That's what a child is learning, and that's the habits they're patterning themselves after. Okay? But continue.
And exhortation.
Exhortation is in motivation. The thing is if your child sees you getting up every day in the morning without complaints, and then you check them about not complaining when they get up to go to school or get up and do chores, now they have your actions and your conduct to use as lessons behind your words. How many times do we tell people to do things, adults or children, to do things we don't live? We teach our children obedience, but as wives are not obedient to their husband. You teach your child to do what you're supposed to do and see the good in things, but you don't see the good in things. But you're mad that your child is negative and pessimistic. How is that? How are you helping your child fight the same battles that they genetically got from you? Yeah. They got the same damn negative that's in you that's in them. So if you don't fix it, how are you going to help them fix it? Listen, if you got a temper, there's a good chance your child's going to have a temper. If you want to see the worst in things, guess what? Your kid's going to have it too. If you want to see, if you have a little nature of quitter or rage in you, guess what's going to pop up in your kid? A little quitter and rage. So how are you going to teach them if they don't see your behavior change, because that's what they're going to gravitate to, is your changed behavior. And then also this last verse, or last word in verse 3, it says, we're supposed to speak men to teach and to motivate, which is exhortation and comfort. How do you comfort somebody? People think comfort is just saying kind words to make you feel good and give you some attaboy speech to get you back out. You know what comfort is? You can show a person it can be done. That's the most comforting thing you can do to another human being. You can overcome, you can beat this because I beat it. You can fight it because I fought it. That's how you comfort your brother or your sister in any realm. A lot of brothers and sisters come into this truth wanting position, not realizing it. You earn position because of the things you overcame in yourself. People want to sit back here and teach and point their finger and wag their hand and I'm going to teach you this and that, but you ain't fixed nothing in you. Then what are you going to give them besides criticism? People need hope that living this way works. People need hope that an Israelite marriage works, that living their life based on pleasing the Most High and being selfless works. Because if you are unhappy in your marriage, what are you saying to your child? Run them streets and find happiness that way. That's what you're telling them. If I'm sitting back here, there's arguments and there's tension and there's bitterness, then people might as well be single or just skip and have multiple partners. Yep. Because what good is matrimony if there's always fighting at the house? Then guess what? How do you solve the issue? Somebody got to be selfless. And it ain't about you. I'll never forget my grandparents. And on my father's side, my grandfather was a very hard man. And you can tell by his personality, he can get a temper quick. But how they were able to manage it. How were they able to manage his temper? And how were they such a good team? Because I tell you what, I rarely saw them fight in front of each other. Rarely saw them argue. Rarely saw contention and confusion. Maybe in my whole time knowing my grandparents, I saw my grandfather raise up and raise his voice to her like twice. And then whenever he did it, I always remember my grandmother saying like one or two words and just shut up. And just going back to what she did. And that always stuck in my head saying, that's how a house should run. Did that mean that there were perfect scenarios in that house? Hell no, it didn't mean that. What did it mean? That's how they carried themselves around people that are looking at it. And that picture is super important to hold on to. A child needs to see a husband and wife in agreement. A child don't need to see a bunch of backward sideways talk or yelling and screaming in front of the child. They don't need to see that. Because all you're saying is that marriage sucks. Don't do it. Run the streets, have fun. Who wants to live this sucky life? Why am I going into it? And we're going into marriage because I think we got the crux of what Simon did for his people. And every action people could see that these moves were benefiting the nation. But are the moves you're making benefiting your children? Are the moves that we're making benefiting the camp? And can people see that? Are we making slick individual moves and disguising it as this is about the body of Christ? This is how you win the hearts and minds of the nation and how you win the hearts and minds of your children. Every decision, every action, every response is with them in mind. That's what being selfless is all about. Because if you have your children in mind truly, you'll really reform yourself. You'll really overcome your battle. Because you know they need you to overcome. And a lot of times we don't push ourselves as much as we need to because we need greater reasons in ourselves to fight our battles. We can conceptualize that in a camp environment, but maybe not at home. That's all I want.
I want to bring out this point that you made about your grandmother.
Yeah.
About what she knew how to do.
Yeah.
What she knew how to do was two things. She knew how to be humble.
Yeah.
And to have faith.
Yeah.
And some of us don't know what that looks like. Because, when we think that defending ourselves is what the Lord wants us to do. But that doesn't equate to what the definition of what faith and humility look like. Go to Lamentations chapter 3. And let's start at verse 21.
Lamentations chapter 3, verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
Lamentations chapter 3 and verse 21.
Read that.
This I recall to my mind. Therefore have I hope.
He said, this I recall to mind. Therefore I have what?
I have hope.
So it's hope is something that's instilled in a person's mind. It's a level of conviction and persuasion that no matter what situation I'm in, the Most High will still take care of me. And that's what faith looks like. That's what faith and hope looks like. Read on.
It is of the Lord's mercies.
Because I know that if I keep my composure and keep my bearing and maintain my discipline, the Most High has more than enough mercy to pull me out of my situation or for me to overcome my pain of suffering that I'm going through for that moment. Read on.
It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed.
Read on.
Because his compassions fail not.
Go ahead.
They are new every morning.
It says the Most High is merciful and he's compassionate every morning, meaning the Most High gives me another day to fight my battle if I put my trust in him. That I'm not consumed, even though I may not like my situation, but the Most High can recover me and he gives me a new opportunity every morning. What does that look like? Read on.
Great is thy faithfulness.
Go ahead.
The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him.
What does that hope look like? Read.
The Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him.
Go ahead.
It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord.
So if I'm in a situation that I need the Most High's help in, does that mean I gotta cuss, fuss, fight back, yell, be disgusted, pop attitude, pop off? Having humility and having faith, meaning you may not like your situation, but you know how to do what?
Should both hope and quietly wait.
That means that what Ward just explained about his grandmother was that she may not like the circumstance that she was in or what was said to her, but she knew how to stay positive, have hope, be persuaded that the Most High will fix the situation. I don't have to defend myself and cuss back and go toe to toe, man for man, blow for blow with a grown man. Read on.
And quietly wait for the salvation of the Most High.
Until the Most High changed his man's heart. Read on.
It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth.
It says, what does it mean to bear the yoke? That means that you're going to go through things and hold burdens that you don't want to hold on to. You're going to be put in positions that it may feel like it's too hard for me to bear. Unbearable situations. And we think in life, if we're in a situation where that's unbearable, that this is not fair. No, this is a teacher. Being in an unbearable situation is a teacher because it's a condition that you're in that's going to demonstrate whether you have faith and whether you have humility. Because all we see is the yoke. All we see is what this person's telling me to do. Or why do I have to be tied together with a person that's so extreme? This person is extreme. So all I see is the discomfort that I'm in because of the scenario is extreme and I don't like it. Well, we don't know what faith looks like. Then we don't know what humility looks like. Because faith and humility is knowing how to bear being in a situation that may be against your particular comfort or desire, but you keep the right mentality. Read on.
He sitteth alone and keepeth silence.
He said he sitteth alone and what?
And keepeth silence.
But I reflect in this silence. The Most High got me in this situation. Read on.
Because he hath borne it upon him.
Because I know who put me in this situation. The Most High put me in this situation. The Most High gave me this husband to serve. The Most High gave me this scenario. So if I fight against the one in front of me, who am I actually fighting against? The Most High. Because the Most High is the one that gave me this yoke. He gave me this responsibility. He gave me this person that may be extreme in their nature. That he gave me the person that I may not understand all the time. Read on.
He putteth his mouth in the dust.
What does that mean, to put your mouth in the dust?
You gonna get all that nasty dirt in your mouth, huh?
You put your mouth in the dust. I mean, the Most High brings you low. The dirt is at the bottom of your feet. That means the Most High puts, just because you're in a situation that you're yoked or tied to someone where you gotta put your mouth in the dust. You gotta eat dust for throughout the day. Meaning your scenario is gonna bring you're gonna have some forced humility upon you. You're gonna be forced to be humble. You're gonna be brought low. But you know how to do what while you're brought low? You know how to keep your mouth shut while you're brought low. And a lot of people don't know what faith looks like. Faith is knowing how to keep your mouth shut when you're in a situation that you don't like or that you're not comfortable with because it's against you and it's uncomfortable with you. So the Most High will put you in a situation where your mouth is in the dust. Read on.
If so be, there may be hope.
But why would the Most High do that? So you can learn how to cleave to him even that much more. So you understand what faith looks like. Faith means that things have to be against you. Things have to be uncomfortable.
And you still choose the Lord.
And you still learn how to keep your mouth shut. And you still know how to operate in humility and still wait for the Most High to change your condition. I'm going to still wait for the Most High to come through for me to put a better spirit on the scenario. Whether it's a better spirit on my boss, or whether it's a better spirit on my husband, or a better spirit on my teachers. I just know how to keep my mouth shut, eat dust, stay humble, and wait for the Most High to change the situation. Because what this truly is really a prophecy of somebody who perfected this. Read on.
He giveth his cheek to him that smiteth him.
And who was that? Who was the one that gave his cheek to the one that smited, to the smiters? Christ. Really, this is an early reflection of what Christ's coming was going to be about. Mm-hmm. He was going to have to be the one to have to undergo this. So what Christ had to endure, the Most High was already trying to teach us to be in that mentality prior to Christ ever being crucified. He was trying to prepare us of what humility looks like. We just didn't understand it. So the Most High had to bring about a person to put it and demonstrate it in front of us, because we didn't get it when we was reading it in Lamentations. So the Most High had to manifest a person to actually show us what being humble looks like, staying in order looks like, keeping his mouth shut looks like. Even when Pilate asked Christ, "Are you a king?" He said, "Thou sayest." He didn't even stand up for himself. So this mentality was always trying to be instituted and taught. We just didn't understand it. And now that we have Christ to demonstrate it, we don't have any excuses. Now we know what humility looks like. Shut your mouth and be in a situation that you may not be comfortable with, that you don't have control over, because the Most High put you in it, and then still learn how to wait for the Most High. That's what faith looks like. That's what humility is. Read on.
He is filled full with reproach.
He said he's filled full with what?
Reproach.
So you may be in a situation where you may be filled full with reproach. People may not appreciate what you do and may talk down about what you do and not enjoy your offerings or what you bring to the table. So what? Read on.
For the Most High will not cast off forever.
But what is the lesson? The Most High will not cast off. So who's ultimately in control?
Sorry.
The Most High is in control. That's the whole point. A lot of us don't know how to wait in this posture where I got a situation is against me and I have no control over it, but I know how to wait in the right spirit, waiting on the Most High to change the circumstance or change the spirit of the individuals that I'm having to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but in order to do that, if you can do that, you can sustain a household. You can sustain a marriage. You can sustain a camp. You can sustain a relationship. You can sustain a job. Because every boss ain't gonna be on your side. Every boss and every job ain't gonna agree with you. Every boss is not gonna like what you do and appreciate what you bring to the table. But you still gotta understand who's ultimately in charge. The Most High is in charge. And if you can do that, hey, you can endure whatever's in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's a beauty about what your grandma was able to do.
Yeah. And it's just humility.
It's humility.
And the benefits of fruits. Let's go to verse 36. First Maccabees 14 and 36. We're going to run to 49. Okay.
First Maccabees chapter 14 and verse 36. For in his time things prospered in his hand.
But once again, things prosper when you allocate your focus to develop other people. Then things prosper for you. This is the righteous life we have to live. When we prioritize making changes and adjustments so others can grow, that's when the Most High prospers us in our life. When you make decisions to benefit the body, read up, or your house, whatever it is, read up.
So that the heathen were taken out of their country, and they also that were in the city of David.
So it lets you know the heathen were. Now this verse 36 and 37 is talking about Accra. And like I had mentioned before, it wasn't just sellout Israelites in Accra. It was literally the other nations. There were Edomites living in Accra, pushing their way. And he said through Simon's leadership, the nations were kicked out of Jerusalem. More than likely the Tobias too.
God.
So you had all these rogue half and half Israelites who weren't of Israelite blood were getting eradicated from the city. Read on.
Who had made themselves a tower, out of which they issued and polluted all about the sanctuary, and did much hurt in the holy place.
So that wasn't just like Menelaus, wicked Jews. It was wicked Jews and Israel and other nations that conspired to corrupt the nation.
Bring in the gymnasiums like Menelaus.
Yes, it did. And Jason. So continue.
But he placed Jews therein, and fortified it for the safety of the country and the city, and raised up the walls of Jerusalem.
So once again, Simon raised up the walls of Jerusalem. They break down the citadel. But continue.
King Demetrius also confirmed him in the high priesthood according to those things.
So at this time, King Demetrius was still in power. And the country was kind of split between Demetrius II and Trypho at this time. Read on.
And made him one of his friends, and honored him with great honor. For he had heard say that the Romans had called the Jews their friend and confederates, brethren.
So once again, this was the chapter. I thought it was the next chapter. Listen, all of a sudden, the Romans told the Greeks, the Romans told Demetrius, listen, don't mess with the Jews. They're our friends. But why did the Romans all of a sudden now send letters and information to the neighboring countries to get them to back off of us? That damn gold, that 1,000-pound gold shield stuck. They said, okay, these guys helped us out. We're going to let all these guys know not to mess. Read on.
And that they had entertained the ambassadors of Simon honorably. Also that the Jews and priests were well pleased that Simon should be their governor and high priest forever, until there should arise a faithful prophet.
Who was that faithful prophet? right? So they said they wanted Simon and his posterity to stay in power indefinitely until Christ came, or until the individual came that was the property that's going to bring us back, that you read about in Deuteronomy 18. 18 and 18, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. So they said, man, because of not just Simon, but it was Jonathan and just family line, there was something to it. Because once again, we had that kind of habit of doing things. David's line, let all the kings go through David. Let all the leadership go through David. Let all the leadership go through Simon's line. To our actual detriment. Because what ends up happening is Simon's lineage gets corrupted too. Like David's lineage gets corrupted. And we have hope in a family line versus setting up a country who really should have leaders based upon a meritocracy. Who's the most locked into serving the Most High really should be the one that leads. But that's not a sin. And that's what Christ ended up showing the people. It wasn't about Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes. It was about who was committed the most to pleasing Christ. But anyway, they made a determination that from here on out, Simon's lineage was going to be the leadership ruling class of the people. Okay? Read on.
Verse 42. Moreover, that he should be their captain, and should take charge of the sanctuary, to set them over their works, and over the country, and over the armor, and over the fortress. And I say he should take charge of the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Besides this, that he should be obeyed of every man, and that all the writings in the country should be made in his name, and that he should be clothed in purple and wear gold.
See, and all this kind of taps into one, Simon was doing the right thing, but the Jew wants to sit back here and make a king. The Jew wants to make
Any of these things should be punished. Thus it liked all the people to deal with Simon, and to do as hath been said. Then Simon accepted thereof, and was well pleased to be the high priest, and captain, and governor of the Jews and priests, and to defend them all. So they commanded that this writing should be put in tables of brass, and that they should be set up within the compass of the sanctuary in a conspicuous place. Also, that the copies thereof should be laid up in the treasury, to the end that Simon and his sons might have them.
And that's the end of the chapter. Are there any questions? What we'll do is next week we'll go on to chapter 15, and we're gonna look up. It'll be out of Maccabees. I think we extracted the maximum out of the reign of Simon, because now we're gonna sit back here and briefly go into a few more stories about Simon. But next week really goes into the chaos of the Greek Empire, and I would say
They're at the tail end of their kingdom.
yeah, and we're gonna go into like some more infighting amongst them, and how their infighting affects us, and what we try to do to support different leadership that was arising from the solution line. We're going to that next week. But I want to take enough time, because like I said, we always talk about how Israel's messed up, right? We don't take enough time that when we do have these glimmers of good and stability to embellish it, to explain it, so we are reminded of what to do, of how to live, of how to carry yourself. That's why we took 3 weeks to kind of go into the good Simon brought to the table, his leadership, his success, because we need to know what to do, how to do it the right way, as well as what not. Are there any questions?
You know, the scriptures say, prove all things and hold fast that which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we read, there's always something to extract out of it. There's always some good to take home with it from it.
So with that, Amadi, we'll point you out your Shalom.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Please listen to us right now.
Please listen to us right now.
Send Micah others.
Send Micah others.
And the righteous angels.
And the righteous
To
angels.
watch over.
To watch over.
Bless.
Bless.
Heal.
Heal.
Protect.
Protect.
And make strong.
And make strong.
The people of Yahshua.
The people of Yahshua.
Also send unto us.
Also send unto us
Much wisdom.
much wisdom,
Much knowledge.
much knowledge,
Much understanding.
much understanding,
Much patience.
much patience,
Much faith.
much faith,
Much brotherhood.
much brotherhood,
Much love.
and much love.
Spiritual power.
Spiritual power.
Forgive all of our sins.
Forgive all of our sins.
Yahweh Shai come quickly.
Yahweh shall come quickly.
For in thee
For in thee
is our hope.
is our hope.
Always.
Always.
And forever.
And forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Brother Yahweh by Shem Shai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
Ha wa
Hallelujah.
Nathan Ra.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the law.
Brother Yahweh by Shem Shai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
Ha wa
Hallelujah.
Nathan Award.
Award. Hallelujah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the light to see.
Brother Yahweh by Shem Shai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
Ha wa
Hallelujah.
Nathan
Hallelujah.
Ha
Ayom.
Quara.
Korah.
Black Quara.
Bakorah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the ram's horn to call the people.
Brother Yahweh by Shem Shai.
Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahshua.
Ha wa
Hallelujah.
Nathan
Hallelujah.
Shaman.
Shaman.
Zayat.
Zayat.
Lamashah.
Lamashah.
Yashua.
Yahshua.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel.
Psalms 92. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord,
It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord,
and to sing praise unto thy name,
and to sing praise unto thy name,
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
to show forth thy loving kindness in the morning,
to show forth thy loving kindness in the morning,
and thy faithfulness every night,
and thy faithfulness every night,
upon an instrument of 10 strings,
upon an instrument of 10 strings,
and upon the psaltery,
and upon the psaltery,
upon the harp,
upon the harp,
with the solemn sound.
with the solemn sound.
For thou, Yahweh,
For thou, Yahweh,
hast made me glad through thy work.
hast made me glad through thy work.
I will triumph
I will
in
triumph
the works of thy
in
hand.
the works of thy hand.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
how great are thy works,
how great are thy works,
as thy thoughts are very deep.
and thy thoughts are very deep.
A brutish man knoweth not,
And brutish man knoweth not,
neither of the full understanding.
neither is the full understanding.
When the wicked spring is the grass,
When the wicked spring is the grass,
and when all the works of iniquity do flourish,
and when all the workers of iniquity do flourish,
it is that they should be destroyed forever.
it is that they shall be destroyed forever.
But thou, Yahweh,
But thou, Yahweh,
art most high forevermore.
art most high forevermore.
For lo, thy enemies,
For lo, thy enemies,
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
for lo, thy enemies
for lo, thy enemies
shall perish.
shall perish.
All the workers of iniquity
All the workers of iniquity
shall be scattered.
shall be scattered.
But my horn shalt thou exalt,
But my horn shall thou exalt,
like the horn of a unicorn.
like the horn of a unicorn.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
My eye also shall see.
My eye also shall see
My desire
my desire
on my enemies,
on my enemies,
and my ears shall hear.
and my ears shall hear
My desire
my desire
of the wicked
of the wicked
that rise up against me.
that rises against me.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
He shall grow like a cedar of Lebanon.
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord
shall flourish in the courts of our power.
shall flourish in the course of our power.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall be fat and flourishing,
They shall be fat and flourishing,
to show that the Lord is upright.
to show that the Lord is
He
upright.
is my rock.
He is my rock,
There is no unrighteousness in him.
and there is no unrighteousness in him.
Ba'ashem Yahshua.
Hashem Yahshua.
Psalms 133. Shayar.
Shayar.
Hama'ayawa. Ladawa.
Ladawa.
Hana.
Hana.
Ma.
Ma.
Sawa.
Sawa.
Wama.
Rama.
Na'ayam.
Na'ayam.
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Akyab.
Akyab.
Dam.
Dam.
Yazad.
Yazad.
Hashemah.
Hashemah.
Atzawa.
Atzawa.
Ayam.
Ayam.
Hara'ash.
Hara'ash.
Yarad.
Yarad.
Ayam.
Ayam.
Hazakwan.
Hazakwan.
Zakwan.
Zakwan.
Aharan.
Aharan.
Sayarad.
Sayarad.
Ayam.
Ayam.
Payah.
Hayah.
Manawafiwa.
Manawafiwa.
Qatar.
Qatar.
Haramwan.
Haramwan.
Sayarad.
Sayarad.
Ayam.
Ayam.
Gloria.
Glory.
Zion.
Zion.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Sham.
Sham.
Tazawa.
Tazawa.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Habaraka.
Habaraka.
Hayayim.
Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
Allah.
Ba'ashem Yahshua.
Hashem Yahshua.
Psalms 133 in English. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like a precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirt of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life evermore. Amen.
Amen. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushai.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Raknau.
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 Hallelujah. Sport.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Raknau.
Raknau.
Hashem.
Hallelujah. Sport.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Raknau.
Raknau.
Hashem.
Hallelujah. Sport.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
Raknau.
Raknau.
Hashem.
Sport.
Raknau Yahweh.
Rocket Yahweh.
Raknau Yahushai.
Rocket Yahweh.
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 All knowledge,
All knowledge.
all wisdom,
All wisdom.
all understanding,
All understanding.
all mercy,
All mercy.
all patience,
All patience.
all long suffering,
All long-suffering.
all grace,
All grace.
all love,
All love.
all power,
All power.
from your house,
Is from Yahweh.
all power,
All power.
from your house,
Is from Yahweh.
all power,
All power.
from your house,
Is from Yahweh.
Hashem,
Hashem.
Yahushai,
Yahushai.
Water,
Water.
Yad,
Yad. Aman.
You got that one?
So we have to have the order. Yahweh, Yahushai, Yahweh, men of Israel, Amaji, Barak,
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Barak,
Kwam Yahshua,
Kwam Yahshua,
Kwam Yahshua,
Kwam Yahshua,
Kwam Yahshua.
Kwam Yahshua.
Turn to face sisters.
On spot.
So we have the daughters of Zion, men of Israel, Amaji, Barak,
Yahweh, Shema, the dog by Hashem, Yahushai. Yes, what's up? Dismiss. Fall out. Israel, people are tuning in. See y'all on Monday, all right? Take care. Have a great Shabbat.